All right, all right, all right. What is up, 1% Nation? Here we are at 1% Engineer live
Oh,
stream, episode 11. Coming at you here December 3rd, 2020. Go ahead and get your questions in the chat right away before we do our little intro. Here we are at the 1% Engineer Show, where we empower young engineers to rise to the top 1% of your career. So if that is you, and if this is the first time you've ever seen us on the live stream, make sure you subscribe right now because we release at least one video a week, sometimes two, sometimes three. And we've been doing this live stream every single Thursday night at 7, or most of the time it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. So go ahead and get your questions into the chat. We have a Discord channel. We've been really pumping this Discord server over the last 3-4 months, and it is over 900 engineers. So if you want to be among lots of other student engineers, young professionals, where we talk about career tips, choosing the right major, surviving engineering school, go ahead and follow the links in this live stream chat, and you can join the Discord server right now. If you're from the chat, I can see it right now on my other computer, and you are coming at us from Discord, go ahead and let us know. I saw one, Emmett Kenny. Thank you so much for stopping by. We're going to do a couple shout outs here. Krish Patel, thank you so much for being in the live stream. I'm going to introduce these two beautiful people sitting in front of me right now that some of you will recognize from the core team, either the interviews or the actual live streams. So Chris Patel, thanks for being here. And the questions, Straight G99, thanks for the question. Stoic Park, Manny, shout out to Manny. Manny, I'm really glad that you are here. You're one of the early candidates for the 1% Engineer Remote Internship Project, which we are going to tell you about tonight. Hamza Wahid, never seen that person before. Thanks for stopping by the chat. See
yeah,
Hussein,
nor am
thanks for
I.
being here. STE, thanks for being here. Elena, Joshua Brown, Emmett Kenny, thanks for being here from Discord. Professor Aru, Royal 4. Who else we got here? Am Design. This is great. Lots of questions already. So what we do here, guys, is we drop the questions in a list of things, and then we get to them right away. I want to introduce two special people who are here with you right now. First, we have Hamza Wahid, who has been around with the team for off and on 3.5 years, ever since we started. Our anniversary is going to be in the spring of 2021. Hamza is Director of Operations. He helps me with all types of business development and keeps things straight over here at 1% Engineer. And then we have Serena Yambe. Serena Yambe is the director of our interview project, where she features people from all different backgrounds, really anybody who should have their story told within engineering, particularly if they are of some
What's
underrepresented
up, Zick?
category. We like to feature women in engineering. We like to feature engineers of color. Anybody who should be heard can be a part of that project. Actually, you have another video coming out tomorrow. Your video with Adam is coming out tomorrow, so I'm really excited to release that. So Hamza and Serena are both
What's to do?
mechanical engineers. What's up, Sadu? What's up, Zick? Are both mechanical engineers. So I think the engineering professional questions, particularly around mechanical, we will have Serena handle those. Some student questions, Hamza. And we've been getting requests. They said, listen, I know you guys have some ladies, some engineering ladies on the team. Where are they? Where are they for the live stream? So I said, Serena, you gonna come save us or what? Here she is. Here she is. So thank you for being here, Serena. Let's get right over to Sean. Hey, what up? Haven't seen her in a while. We're gonna get right over to the first question. The person who was the most punctual, Krish Patel. If you are still here, awesome, guys. Do Hamza or Serena, before we get into questions, do you guys wanna mention anything? Say anything?
Nope.
Cool. Serena, want the mic?
Uh, I don't know. Just hey guys, if you have any questions, just I'm here for you. So, yeah.
Serena went to Drexel, and she was one of the first people to reach out to me and say, hey, I love your YouTube channel. I found it 3 years ago. Can you come be a part of this event? And really made me realize that 1% Engineer was bigger than just a YouTube platform. So thank you so much, Serena. She's a professional mechanical engineer who's been working for about a year in the transportation sector. So it's a really cool launch to the career. I have so much respect for Drexel Engineering. If you're on the East Coast and you still have an opportunity to apply to school, look at Drexel. They have a fantastic co-op program where you can have your academic career within 4 years, and then they break up the 4th and 5th year so that you work for half of that year. I think that's what Drexel does, like the standard co-op. It's not like a full year, is it? A full 12 months working?
So it's a 6 months co-op. I
Okay.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So let's get over to the first question. Chris Patel, I think you're still here. But basically, it's about computer engineering. Do computer engineers need to learn coding? Absolutely. So computer engineering is technically a part of electrical engineering. There's even some programs that they combine the two. They call it electrical and computer engineering. But really, computer kind of stands under electrical engineering. And the main difference is that you get into heavier math and more sort of theory with core electrical engineering. And then with computer engineering, you're going to be dealing with the hardware side a little bit more. You still have to have the intense math, but you definitely need to code quite a bit. Hey, Ashton's here. What's up, man? Just in time, really. We'll do your intro in a second. We're talking about a computer engineering question, which you're an electrical engineer, so glad you joined right now. But yeah, you're going to have to take a decent bit of coding. You're not going to be able to avoid coding. So if you like it, then great. I think you're kind of splitting hairs and even making the decision between electrical and computer, so don't even worry about that. Let's get right over to, do you want to drop these, are you dropping these questions in the document, Hamza? I don't see anything in here, like zero.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see anything in here. Are you,
That's a coding question.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let's get this. So can you put them, are you putting them at the very bottom, Hamza? I don't really know.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah, they're at the very bottom.
I can't tell like where the line is, like where we start. So can you put in some parentheses or some sort of like arbitrary border? But okay, let's get over to the next one. So straight 99. Where are all the entry level ME positions during COVID? So I think all the entry level positions, and it's even harder to find an internship this year. But do you have any friends? Let's pass this over to Serena right now. Serena, do you have any mechanical engineering friends who have been able to get a job during COVID? Or what's your perspective being a mechanical engineer with people trying to actually enter the workforce this year, like right now?
So I don't have any friends because I graduated Drexel from Drexel last year in 2019, and that was before COVID. So I can't say that I have any friends that got a job during COVID. Although I do have one of my friend. I think you guys saw his video. He used to work at Tesla, and he did get his job during COVID. He works now at Lucid Motors, but prior to that, he had like great resume with his like internship experience, not only at Tesla but also at Airbus. So I think like whether it's COVID and even like forward to that, having a great resume is a step forward. You have to find a way to identify, to kind of like stand out from other applicants, besides just, having good grades or 4.0 GPA, whether it's having your own startup or whether it's to be involved in engineering organization during school, or even like doing stuff like this, like empowering other students. But you have to find a way to stand out. And that's the kind of advice that I'll give you guys.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, that's really good advice. We need to get, it's funny, we need to get Danny Schroeder on the show because she was just posting about resume things. So whenever I hear resume tips right now, I think of her. Yeah, the other thing that I would want to add to that, really thanks for that, Serena, is really you got to go through your top 10, we call it like the top 10 connection playbook. And so you look at 5 people that you know who can help you get a job and reach out to them on the hope that they have connections to an industry, right? So this is Uncle Bill, friends of friends who have any sort of connections to the engineering industry. We're talking professors at university. We're talking your senior year in high school science teacher might have some engineering friends. Any of this type of stuff, write down 5 names of these people and then reach out to them. And then otherwise, the next 5 is writing down the companies that you want to work for and the roles that you want to be in for an internship or a job. And then you find people in your city who are literally sitting with that job that you want and try to build a relationship with them on LinkedIn. And if you do this with 10 people, you will get a job. Awesome. So let's make sure that Ashton has the document for 1% Engineer Live. Can you share the document with him so he can get in here and we can start highlighting? So go ahead, Serena, Hamza, Ashton, and highlight questions that you want to take. We got this nice little document flowing. So Stoic Park, we're going to get over to your question right now. And then here's the question lineup. STE, Straight 99, C. Hussein, Professor Anarundles, Mr. Noko Sign, and then Musa Lab. All your questions are coming up. How many people we got in here right now? 25, 133 people have stopped by. Guys, go ahead and smash the like button right now if you're a young engineer and you want to rise to the top 1% of your career, because if you hit that like button, it's going to help this go into the recommended tab for more engineers. We get like 900 to 1,000 people who stop by during a live stream, so really have high hopes. It only seems like there's 27 people here, but there's already been 150 who have came and went. Drop your questions in the live stream. Make sure you subscribe. So Stoic Park says, what do you think about an older person going into electrical engineering, like a 30-plus-year-old? What's the challenges that they might face, and what are some of the advantages? Well, good opportunity to have our electrical engineer step into the limelight. Here we have Astro Wrote Ashton, who is the director of Discord. You might recognize him from the Discord server. So we had a couple Discorders in here already, Ashton. So a little shout out from the community. Thanks so much. You are a resident expert electrical engineer. I know you can't really relate to being a 30-plus-year-old and going back into the industry, but I think the challenges become amplified when you are older. So what would you say would be your cautions or your advice to somebody who's walking into electrical engineering who's maybe 30 years old?
If you aren't ready for the math, if you aren't ready to learn coding, if you aren't ready to do 2 to 3 hours exams on these things, uh, might be a little too late. But if you're ready to persevere, it's definitely possible. I've seen people jump on my major at these ages and come out and do quite well, and then go back to work. Like, no, they have worked during the course. That's the hardest part. Like, they have families and they have worked during the course and come out with like actually decent to good grades. Sometimes better than the younger students. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. I think about being a returning student, or what do they call it, like a non-something, a non-typical student, is really about, do you have the lifestyle that actually can support that? So can you go at night? Do you have enough funding to pay for school and support yourself and your family, things like that? And if you can make that happen, then it's mostly about, like, do you have the chops to actually survive? Can you work hard enough? Are you smart enough? Because it doesn't get any easier as you get older. In electrical engineering, we're doing a video, mechanical versus electrical. It's like the hardest math. It's even harder
Mm.
than mechanical engineering math. I didn't realize that. Electricals don't have to deal with as many PDEs, but it's still really hard. Yeah, thanks for that, Ashton.
One thing
Um,
I've noticed though about the mature audience, like when they go to school again, they take it really seriously. So that's never a problem with them.
yeah, that's
Like
true.
once they do it once and they get it, they're gone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, we got another electrical engineering question here. STE, can you talk about electrical engineering and how COVID affects the job market? I mean, electrical engineering isn't necessarily plagued worse than other engineerings, I wouldn't say. But have you heard anything about EE being more dramatically impacted, Ashton?
On a local scale in my region, the most thing I've heard about electrical engineering being hurt by COVID would have to be do with people getting like sick from it and having so let's see. One of my associates, she's actually 30 something. So that's funny. She's actually 30 something. She's just senior with me. And like majority of her department got sick. So like she had to cover a lot of people tasks and roles. And as you know, electrical engineering or any engineering thing is like, a team-based concept. Like you just not one person do it all, right? But that's pretty much how it is until like they find replacements or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And just so you guys know, Ashton's in the Caribbean, so that's what he means by around here. Yeah, cool, 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 cool. All right, getting right back
Around
into these
here.
questions. Around here, smash the like button if you're just joining the stream. I just saw this thing surge up. Let's see. So straight 99. So this is a question that I think Serena has highlighted, or you highlighted this, right, Serena? Is it worth it to go back and get a master's? Follow up. What is the point? Oh, interesting. So Serena, you want that one? Did you highlight it in blue? I can see that smile. It's yours. Take it. Take it. Take it. Yep.
Well, the reason, okay, I'm gonna first, as a person, maybe not us, but say that it is worth it to get a master's. Mostly, if like whatever you're studying in school, we kind of like want to get the deep understanding. But then again, a master has like, I would say, like two purpose. First is, once you graduated, do you want to go on a kind of like deep research side? Like kind of want to know more about, let's say, how a turbine engine works. So then, yeah, you can get a master PhD. Maybe you want to work in research and then get master and then get your PhD. But then the second is kind of like a master kind of helps you with, professionally in some industry, even some companies. So, and then that's what I think Hamza said that, yeah, you want to have your company, you want to have that work experience to kind of figure out, okay, if I'm taking this job and then working, let's say, at, like as an engineering consultant, am I really gonna enjoy the type of industry I'm in? Am I really gonna enjoy what I learned in school and apply it in this kind of job? So the master then helps you figure out, okay, what is this specifically that I'm interested in this job, and kind of further that skills more technically. So some student, let's say you're mechanical engineer. Mechanical engineer is very broad. But then when you get a master, you kind of like specialize more in a specific industry. So if you got a job, let's say pharmaceutical industry, let's say like Johnson and Johnson, they do medical devices, and you kind of like figure out this new passion for medical devices. So you can get a master in I don't know, biomechanics to kind of like build like robots that will help patients. So stuff like that. And it's kind of like more specialized to what like a specific goal that you have. And then that's kind of like thanks to your jobs that you obtain after graduation. So I would say like, yeah, there's definitely a point and a reward in getting a master's. It can be, it can have like a promotion. Sometimes companies kind of like help you with that. Most companies actually. So they'll actually push you to get a master's, for a specific type of role. And sometimes it's something that, like maybe you found a job after graduation, you just didn't enjoy it. And getting a master is kind of like your second chance of, doing exactly what you want to do. And you kind of change fields. And a lot of people do that. Some mechanical engineers end up doing software engineering with their master degree because they kind of like found out this new interest in coding, like like a lot of my friends did. So it's really up to you. You have to find out what is it that you're passionate about, what is it that you like, and sometimes getting a job after graduation helps. Or if you had like a previous research experience, undergraduate experience during college, that can help you through as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's really well put together. You see a lot of, yeah, thanks for that, Serena. You see a lot of people, especially in mechanical engineering, who, because it's so broad and you don't necessarily have a niche coming out of school, is that you go and you work, you get that experience, and then you go back and you get that mechatronics masters or that aerospace masters, and you're galvanized by the ability to know and have confidence with, like Serena said, what you're passionate around before you go and deepen your career. You really should know. So yeah, that's the right order of things. What I really don't like people doing is thinking about masters when they haven't even chosen their undergraduate or they haven't even gotten started. Like a lot of engineers think they need it. They don't. It does give you huge advantages, but don't worry about it yet until you're like a senior or junior or senior in university, in undergrad, or you are working professional and you can already kind of tell that you need to learn something new, do something different, or you're starting to get bored. Yeah, so thanks for that, Serena. All right, moving on. So, see Hussein, go ahead and smash the like button, guys. Here at the 1% Engineer Show, you can get your engineering student or engineering career questions answered. Make sure you subscribe. We release videos at least once a week and do this live stream at least once a week. So make sure you hit that bell as well so that you don't miss anything. See Hussein, Professor Ernals, Mr. Noko-san, Muso Lala, your questions are coming up right now. So, see Hussein, NJIT, very awesome. I'm over here in Delaware. Serena's in Philly area. So, shout out to NJIT. Offers the electrical engineering tech students to get their master's degree in EE and become PE certified. What's your thoughts? Well, there's a whole bunch of electrical engineers that never even get the PE. I was just looking at electrical engineering PE pass rates. They're really low compared to mechanical engineering. Some of them is like 50%, 60%. It's pretty bad. So let me read this again. So electrical engineering tech students to get their master's in EE and become PE certified. That's not true. So there's programs out there that will give you an additional year or two of PE credited experience, but there's no way that this program is offering you PE certification with a master's degree unless it's some crazy. No, I don't. I think that there's a miscommunication or something about this. because even if you get your PhD, okay, which you're not talking about, I think that counts as 2 years of PE experience, and a master's degree technically counts as 1. So I don't know. Plus, you don't just become PE certified. You have to take an 8-hour exam. That's the fundamentals of engineering exam. And then you have to get 4 years of experience, whether that is with grad school eligibility or not. And then you have to take another 8-hour exam. So I think there's been a miscommunication about that. PE is a very serious thing that a lot of engineers never get, unless you're in civil and a lot of mechanicals. Like, what's your attitude on getting your PE, Serena? It's probably based on your industry. You work in a physical industry. It's probably valuable for you, huh?
Yeah, so in the transportation industry, it's very important to get P certified because you kind of deal with government contracts. So yeah, you have to get your P certification, and like you mentioned, is a very big deal. You have to get, you have to take that 8-hour long exam, and then have at least 4 years of experience, after graduation, whether it's undergrad or grad course level. And then you have to get approved through an advisor, supervisor to even, qualify to get that PE certification. So it's not, I don't think, a university can just get you a PE certification. That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's a little. I feel like either somebody has misguided you or there's just a really simple miscommunication. So, what about Ashton? What would you say? I know that you're still a student and may not have the best exposure to it, but is there any sort of like a knee-jerk reaction to a question like, hey, what percentage of electrical engineers do you think actually get their PE? And it's okay if it's hard for you to answer, but
I saw the prices and I cried. I
yeah.
was like, what? It costs this much? I was thinking myself, like, do I really need this? Like, the entire senior class was looking at each other like, we could wait, right? Like, we don't
Yeah,
need
I
to
think
rush towards this.
yeah, I think a lot of electricals do. So where the line is drawn, I think this is really important for you because most of you are students. So where the line is drawn is that the PE, what it really helps you with is, yeah, be more credible and have more authority and land government contracts. But sort of the line in the sand is, are you going to design something or not and have to stamp your personal engineering credibility on this design so that it can move forward, okay? And in electrical engineering, software engineering, and chemical engineering, there is no designing things mostly, right? So this PE attraction sort of fades quite a bit. In civil engineering, it's pretty much mandatory. Everybody gets a PE. And in mechanical, depends what industry, but far more people do get it. So I can see the hesitation and the reluctance. If you want to see something crazy too, guys, especially you, Ashton, I was looking at the pass rates. I don't know. We're making this mechanical versus electrical engineering video, and I'm making an argument for electrical engineering being harder than mechanical because of more complicated math, more theoretical math, and also nobody passes the PE. It's like 50%. I think there's 2 or 3 types of exams, and it's hard for people to pass it. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Thanks for that. Who's saying, okay, Professor Aaron, your question is... you mechanical engineers, get ready. Is mechanical engineering a safe course to pick to work in automotive or electrical engineering? Kind of like a weird question. So I guess let's talk. I mean, we don't.
Yeah, I answered that.
What's that? You already answered it. Yeah, it's like a really simple one. What's that?
I was gonna say, don't give it to Hamza.
Yeah.
Nothing to hurt someone's feelings.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, fuck. Wait, you wanna? So you answered this in the chat, or you want to answer this, Hamza?
No, I already answered it in the chat.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because automotive engineering is probably the biggest subset of mechanical engineering. That's, at least in terms of interest and career aspirations, that's what a lot of people want to work in. And then, I mean, is mechanical engineering a safe course to pick to work in electrical engineering? It's like a 2-part weird question. Mechanical engineers and electrical engineers work side by side. You can't have one without the other. Can you cross into either career? Absolutely, especially if you've set yourself up to have experience for a lateral move or something like this. So yeah, I hope that helps you. So Mr. Noko sign, how do you study? Well, with that being said, we do have a video that's decently successful called 9 Tips for Engineering Study. It's got a purple thumbnail, so why don't you go ahead and check that out, because it's going to give you some tips on the Pomodoro
I
technique.
highlighted that.
Yeah, cool, great. On the Pomodoro technique, and then which is, for example, take study for 25 minutes, break for 5, 25, break for 5, or things like spaced repetition, where if you actually take more time and space it out more and plan out your studying, you don't have to study for anywhere near the same amount of time if you were to cram. And so I think we'll pass this right back over to, let's hear from you, Hamza. So you're a pretty logical guy and sort of bring a very kind of left-brained engineering attitude to certain things. What are your study habits that you try? I know that you always want to be a better student, but what are the studying things that you are deploying as you're a full-time mechanical engineering student right now? How do you study? Ideally, like the best version of you.
Right. I mean, the best version of me, ideally, I would be learning as much as I could in class using I don't want to say brain hacks, but basically like just once you figure out how the brain actually learns, and then just applying memory techniques, mnemonic devices, so basic associations, all that stuff. I would be writing those down in my notes in addition to like setting my notes up in a question answer format. So I front load the work on the front end while taking the notes. And then when I'm at home or whatever and I study it, I just have like a study guide right there because the notes are set up in a question to answer format. And then I just go through it multiple times until I get it in my brain. One good book that you guys should all read on this is Cal Newport's How to Be a Straight A Student in College. It basically lays out a system on how to do this.
Yeah, Cal Newport's a really good influencer. He's a professor at, what is it, George Washington in D.C.?
Georgetown,
yeah. And I think he has 5 award-winning books: How to Be a Straight A Student, How to Get Good Grades.
So good they can't ignore you.
Yeah. Some of these books are in this stack behind me, so this is really good. The other thing that I have to say about studying is this. So I would not have made it through civil engineering university without friends around me who were smarter than me, and doing homework groups and studying for exams in groups, and always making sure that project teams were talking among each other. And I think utilizing your network resources to the best of your ability is very valuable. That may be hard during COVID, but you do definitely have these Discord study rooms that people are studying together virtually. And we're actually trying to start one. Panache was talking about wanting to start one. Other ways, I think that there are professors who miss their students in 2020 and 2021. They will do virtual office hours with you. I think that making sure that when an exam is coming down the pike, you can stay after and ask more questions and show that professor that you care and that you want to do well on this exam. And that could be the difference between giving you some points at the end or not. And sometimes just 1 or 2 performances can be the difference between a B or C letter grade on your transcript. So that's my advice around studying. Serena or Ashton, do you guys have any? Engineers have to study even after they're done school. So Serena as a professional, Ashton as a student. Any study tips to add to the mix here?
I would say, during my college years, I think, like every student or person studies differently, whether, you're taking notes or the way you're, acquiring information or memorizing. When you're in class, well, I would say, most professors have the lecture slides. I would assume at least like 80% of them. Like at least the best thing you can do, during a lecture, make sure you understand the concepts, is very important because you always have that lecture. And then when you go back home and then when it's your own study time, you can take your own notes. At least that's what I was doing. I will always make sure that, I listened to, tips and tricks during the lectures. And then after, I was kind of traditional type. I had like my notebook and I was taking my notes like down with a pen. And I love that. I still continue to do that. And that was the best way for me to memorize information, kind of like, having my pen, writing, kind of like inscribe all the information into my brain. And then like Jake mentioned, like I know like as students, or at least when I was a student, that some professors you always feel kind of like, like you can't talk to them, or at least that's like kind of the lecture vibe. But at the end of the day, the professors are here to help you. The professor, the classmates, and like going to those office hours totally make a difference. Like professors just want you to succeed, and you going to the office hour, it just shows that you really want to succeed in this class. You really want to understand the concept that it taught you. So like Jake mentioned, utilize your resources, professors, your TAs, and your classmates, groups. Something that maybe your professors can't help you understand. A student might find a better way to kind of like transcribe that information so that you can get it, and so as your TA. So utilize all your resources that you want. And also the library is very important. There are so many books in the library, like you can find information. And I think that that's something that our students usually we overlook. So yeah, use your resources.
What did we miss, Ashton? Thanks for that, Serena.
Let's see. Well, if your college experience is anything like mine, and you've taken a psychology class, or you've just taken like any introduction college class, you're probably gonna get an aptitude test and attitude test, and that'll be one in your personality and one in your academic attitude. And within them, they'll usually be right, unless you're stubborn and you want to like fight them for some reason. But usually they'll tell you how you learn and what type of learner are you. So for me, I'm kind of like a hands-on person, so I hate COVID, but that's okay.
Yeah. So how do hands-on learners keep sane during COVID? What do you do? Yeah, I saw you tinkering with stuff last stream. You got anything to show us tonight?
I have.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am going mad.
yeah.
Uh,
Feel free
I
to
gotta
show us.
disconnect this.
You're all good. When you're ready, you can
So
just
this
show
looks
us.
ugly, but this is me tonight.
Very cool.
That's cool.
And this entire thing is a password circuit, so the coding is fine. The coding has no errors. It's the setup of the circuit that matters.
Go ahead and type show us the design. Type show us the design in the live stream if you want to see what Ashton's project is. Last time he was like zooming in and showing us different things. Type show us the design. Show us the money if you want to see that, and we'll talk more about that. Sweet. Let's get right back over to some of these questions, and then we can take a break from questions to look at Ashton's electrical engineering project. So questions coming up. Musa Lab, Luis, Navian, Noorul Islam. Recognize that person. Thanks for being here. Sports Tube My, thanks for coming by. Victor, and then Sports Tube, you're having another question. Sports Tube shows up at like 7:30 and says, hey, sorry for being late. Hey, whoa. We're not professors over here. That's what's nice about the playback. You can go and watch this whole thing. Don't even worry about. Hey, guys, thanks for
programmed.
Nice. Hey guys, thanks for the efforts. What should you learn if you want to know like nearly everything about how things work, like software is related to hardware, for example? So it seems like you are either too young to have decided, or you're in a phase where you haven't quite landed on what type of engineer you want to become, which is probably the thing that we help young people with, or engineers in general, with the most. And so the most general type of engineering is mechanical engineering. You can go in any direction you want. You can be more software. You can be more on the electrical signals and control side. You can be on the mechanics side. You can end up working in physical infrastructure, transportation, and things like what Serena has done. So be thinking mechanical and be thinking broad until you really know. You never have to really commit to a more narrow perspective until you get into those situations where you have tangible experience and you can have the confidence and instincts to go forward in a more niche perspective. But until then, you don't have to decide, and I discourage you from trying to decide. Luis Fernandez. You see many freshmen or people starting college saying they intended to do a master's or PhD without a clear idea of what graduate school entails. What would you tell them as advice or explain? I mean, basically what we just said, these two questions, I'm really glad they're together, but most people, young people, I think today, Gen Zs, I suppose, they see the ramifications of choosing the wrong thing and then paying all this money and getting a degree that isn't the right one. And because there was no fear of choosing the wrong major during the baby boomer or the Gen X days, you just got a degree, no big deal, didn't pay a lot of money, college was fun, move on, right? Now there's like risk and anxiety in choosing the wrong thing. I really think that's it, is that the horror stories of like hating your career are all over the internet, and Gen Zers have grown up, Gen Z engineers particularly have grown up with Reddit, and they hear the horror stories. And so what you can control is how much you plan, though. And I think that students over-plan, and they don't realize the benefits of learning without having to sit behind a screen. Like, you can't figure out what type of engineering you want to do by reading this, okay? You got to actually go out there and figure out what you hate and get some experience and talk to people. The best possible thing you can do.
I learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah, you knew. The best possible thing you can do is talk to people who are already in the industry and ask them if they like their job, and they will help you. Anybody else? Maybe Serena is probably can add on to this the most, because she's seen both sides. Been a student, very ambitious student, I would say. Probably had all these plans, and then you get started with your career, and it's like, oh, I don't know. You know?
I mean, that's true. Actually, I have like a soft side to it because, before college, at least when I was in high school, I had this very strict idea, gonna graduate, get my PhD. I always wanted to get my PhD for whatever reason, but I just didn't know why. And then when I got to college, at least it was until my senior year, when you start wondering, what do I want to do with my degree? What do I want to do with my life, for example? And I got like several offers to get my PhD, but at the end of the day, like Jake mentioned, why do I want to get my PhD for? What is it that I'm passionate about? And then all these kind of questions, kind of like, I had they all had like the same goal. I just didn't know. I couldn't find an answer to what I was passionate about. And it just didn't make sense for me to, for those of you that know, a PhD is at least 4 years. Other cases, it can be 6 years.
Yeah.
And if you end up not liking what you do or your research, you can get stuck. And that just didn't feel like a very cool thing, like right after graduation. And, like freshmen, when you're freshman, yeah, you really want to be, if you want a power woman or like be like extraordinary. But at the end of the day, you gotta like take things step by step, like listen to other people. And that's why you want to also like try different things, like having internship, maybe do undergraduate research, for example, and maybe then you can find a purpose to getting a PhD or even doing your master's. So all of this thing, when you're freshman, you have time, like to get engrossed into many different things that you can experience for yourself, and then decide, okay, I want to do my PhD because I'm really passionate about this type of subject. I want to get my master because, like it has a very specific reason for you, not because, like it's a very idealistic idea. So yeah, don't just jump into bold, extraordinary idea just because you feel like, oh, this is cool. I mean, yeah, it is cool, but like at the end of the day, you only have one life, and you want to enjoy what you want to do, right? So.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Hamza, Ashton, have anything to add to the PhD dilemma?
Yeah,
Even if you find
my dad. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Hamza.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wow.
Don't all everybody speak at blah, 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 blah. Go ahead, Hamza, go, because your dad has a PhD. Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So my dad has a PhD, and he hides that from employers. Like, the only reason you should really get a PhD is if you want to be in a research position or if you want to be a professor, that type of thing. Then absolutely go for it. But if you just want to be like a technical leader, master's is the highest level you need. And the other distinction I would make is if you want to be a manager or you want to have a business or something like that, I would strongly consider the MBA route after your bachelor's. So those are the delineations that I would say.
Yeah, this is Ashton. You had something. Go ahead.
Yeah. Even if you like something, you're going to hate it eventually. And then you start liking it again. That's how I feel right now.
Nice. And
It's okay.
And PhD students definitely have that journey along the way. So here's what I want to say about all this. So I'm really glad that you added that perspective too, Hamza. And everything that Serena said about PhD is exactly right. So once you get a PhD, your career, like the career that you're trying to have with a PhD, or the reason why you would get a PhD is considerably different from a master's or an MBA because of Hamza's father's situation, for example. Okay, there are very few private and government organizations that need the level of expertise that a PhD provides. Let's talk about those industries that actually do need it. So our good friend Nehemiah Mabry, okay, PhD in civil engineering. He's a structural engineer and works on massive bridges that do require PhD level expertise so that our bridge engineers don't kill people. Okay, so that's where you can actually work in industry and have a normal career. Okay, people in aerospace engineering need almost always a master's degree, and some of them go out and get their PhDs. SpaceX and NASA, they have a whole bunch of PhD type people. Okay, beyond that, in private sector engineering, I can't think of too many on the top of my head, okay? But where a PhD will really help you is if you want to be a researcher and forge your own projects and work for a university or an academic organization where you can do your own projects, maybe not necessarily be in academia to be a full professor, but you want to have a full career of research. Say you did research or an undergrad, or you just love the idea of doing your own research projects, then a PhD is going to be hugely valuable for you. If you want to be a professor, if you want to be a lecturer, if you want to be more than just an adjunct who is essentially a professional with a master's degree who kind of lectures at the nights and weekends, if you want to be a real professor, you have to get your PhD. But besides those two avenues, researcher or academics, there is very slim opportunities for PhD. In private, it may even hurt you because they think that you're going to expect 25% more salary, like in Hamza's father's situation. One final thing to add here is for the people who want to be entrepreneurs and startup people, the MBA is not really going to help you. It may with the education, okay? But MBA is teaching you to be a business administrator, okay? It's teaching you to manage a business for someone else, not start a business, or it has none of the disruptive startup things that you need to know over the last 10 to 20 years. So for the people who want to start something, go work for a startup. Don't get your MBA. Maybe one day you can get that, but it's not going to help you on the front end. People might even laugh at you because you thought that it could help you. This like old legacy business stuff. You know, the MBA programs is stuff from the 70s and 80s. You know, it doesn't really help you as much today, but it will help you advance in your corporate career, climbing that ladder as a leader, a communicator, a non-technical sort of person. So great question. All right. Those of you who are just stopping by, we've had over 300 people come, and we're hovering over about the 27, 28, 29 milestone. This is the 1% Engineer Show live, where we go live every Thursday and talk about engineering student problems and career things. We also have a YouTube series of regular videos. We're up to episode 130 now. Over the last 4 years, we've been releasing content at least once a week with some breaks for your engineering success. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss out on notifications for the live stream or the actual video releases. What else do we have? Well, we have a Discord server with almost 1,000 young engineers who the director is right here to your bottom right, Astro Road. Ashton, you will recognize him as the director of Discord. So go ahead and follow the links in the description so that you can join over 900 other engineers and talk about your problems, projects, study habits, whatever you want. Follow the links in the description. Also, we're trying to get past 380. You want to cross the 400 line on our Instagram page. You can find links to that, and make sure you download the 1% Engineer Kit, which is sign up with your email so that you can get 5 free ebooks for your engineering success. And finally, the biggest thing that we have to offer you right now is the remote internship. Can't get an internship in COVID-19 days? Well, you can do one at home with the 1% Engineer remote internship. So we're taking 50 students, 100 if we can, but I like the 50 target for now. We have civil, mechanical, electrical, and a software engineering remote internship that we're designing for you. It's 10 to 12 weeks so that you can actually accumulate the experience and build a portfolio and have some authority and credibility that would supplement and replace an internship that you would normally had but can't get it during COVID-19. So if you want to be one of these special 50 people who can be eligible for the 1% remote internship that we're dropping January 1st of 2021, send us an email. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Hamza, put your email in the chat. I don't think it's going to let you, right, Hamza? We talked about this before, but send me an email. Hello at jakevoorhees.com. Last time we live streamed, 8 of you sent me an email, and 8 of you, Manny, you being one of them, that's why I'm so glad that you're here, are on the short list to be contenders for this virtual internship. And finally, if you email tonight, you will have an opportunity to review, because it's in design right now and be a part of the development of this actual internship. And all 8 of you who emailed last week, I had another opportunity to join the team as like an assistant researcher. Excuse me. And those 8 people got asked if they wanted to join as this research role. So show your ambition, send us an email, become one of these remote intern shippers, and we are moving right on to the questions. So questions coming up. We have Musain, Luis Fernandez, Navian, Noor Al Islam, Sports Tube, Maestro, Bloodkill 666. Jeez, you sure you're in the right place? And then Luis Fernandez, MBA, commenting about this. Okay, Musalab Lala. Hi, guys. Thank you for all the efforts. Oh, no, we already answered that one. Okay, Luis Fernandez, finally. Do you see any freshmen or people starting college saying they intend to do a master's? We already answered this one, right? Yeah. Sorry, I'm not crossing these off properly. Okay, Navi, and your question. What to specialize in aerospace? So, I want to specialize in aerospace. Do I need a PE? That's actually a really good question that I'm not hugely prepared to answer on stream because I'm not entirely sure. I want to say that most aerospace engineers will get a PE because there are a lot of things that can go wrong with designing aerospace engineering, thermal applications and design parts. So I just feel like it is something that they do. However, there's only 3 mechanical engineering exams and there is no aerospace one. It's HVAC, power, and something else that isn't aerospace. So I'm really not sure. That's a great question. I think it's totally okay. This is a lesson for all of you guys out there. It's totally okay to admit that you don't know something because I'd much rather you guys go have Reddit or Quora respond to this than us. Do you 3 have anything to add to this? Maybe an aerospace engineering friend? Maybe you know. What do you guys think? I feel like they don't get it. I have no clue. Yeah, I'm not sure. But
I'm not sure.
It's a really good question. That's making me want to Google this right now. Maybe somebody can chase that down on Reddit. Hamza, maybe we could find just a couple patterns. What are the top 3, top 4 links? What do they say? And we can sort of develop a pattern from that. But great question. We're going to get right into that, Luis. Or Nathan. Okay, Noor Al Islam. An electrical engineer get a master's in mechanical engineering. It would be so powerful to be both an electrical or mechanical engineer. Okay, great question. Not for the instinct around the question, but because it is a really valuable thing.
According to Reddit, no.
Okay, that's what initially I was like, okay, aerospace engineering design is really important, but because I know the 3, so just so you guys know, there isn't just one professional engineering exam. Thanks for checking that, Hamza. You take different types of exams. Like civils do not take what mechanicals take, who do not take what electricals take. And then even at the mechanical engineering level, there's 3 types of tests. For civil engineering, I think there's like 7 or 8 different types of tests. You have transportation, environmental, management, all these different types of tests, so that the experience you've accumulated in 4 years, it's not just in vain. You're actually applying what you know for the PE exam. And there is not an aerospace engineering outlet on that exam because the industry sort of came out of nowhere over the last certainly 20 years in comparison to what it was historically. So I just don't think they've caught up. So let's see here. We're still on Noor Al Islam's question. Can an electrical engineer get a master's in mechanical engineering? It would be so powerful. It seems powerful. Okay. So there's so many people who they think that they were kind of sold this concept of why don't you just get a minor? Why don't you just double major? So my attitude on these things is that it doesn't help you at all. Okay, no one really cares about what your minor is, especially if you're an engineer. You minored in math or you minored in some other type of engineering. Nobody really cares because nobody cares about your degree is not the thing that's going to advance you to the next step. It's the relationships you have. It's the experience and what your portfolio has. It's what you did in your clubs and your Engineers Without Borders and essentially the things outside of the curricula that you've used to position yourself for the next step. And so, I mean, it's not that if you were an electrical engineer and then you got your master's in mechanical, it's not that you could go in both. This is not the right attitude. You don't want to just get another degree so you can go anywhere. For example, with just an electrical engineering undergrad or just a mechanical engineering undergrad, you can do whatever you want. You don't need that master's degree. You don't need that additional degree outside of electrical in order to get what you need. Can a master's help you change into a a path, just like Serena said, it may help you divert and become more niche and more specialized in the direction you're trying to head. You don't continue down a career and want to get more broad just in case I want something else. Like, this is kind of the wrong type of thinking, and just on how you frame the question, I can see that you think that it's going to help you be more broad. It's not really attractive. You don't really need that. And for the sake of smashing through some other questions, I want to poll you three, but I think we'll keep on moving and get through. Sports tube. My question is, what type of internship you do affect you for your job? When someone does an internship on reducing, yeah, absolutely. So essentially what this question is you should be getting the types of internships and networking with the types of people and doing research and volunteer work and grading. I was a grader for a professor in university. You should be doing all of these things in the direction that you think your career is headed. Okay. So I didn't grade for a structural engineering professor. I didn't get internships for structural engineering. They were all in traffic and transportation because I knew that that's where I wanted to launch my career. Now, if I wanted to change direction after a year or two, I could have started networking and building momentum in that other direction. But yes, you should be using your internships for two things: exploring to see if you like it enough to push forward, or pushing forward because you know you love it. Okay. You guys have anything to add to that?
I have something to add to the first one where there was like masters in mechanical and electrical engineering.
Go ahead.
You sound like someone who's trying to prepare for everything.
Right?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
You're gonna waste your money.
Exactly.
Things gonna not work out anyway somehow. That's just how life is.
It's also a little bit the same lens as the people who are like picking the PhD and picking the masters. It's like they think that like all these extra degrees will help you do whatever. You don't really need that. You need to figure out what you want to do first, and then reverse engineer the best way to get to that, which is what Serena was talking about, is using the master's degree to further deepen your ability to get to where you're trying to go. Not just get it and then decide. That's ridiculous, right? Why don't you just triple major? Why don't you triple major? Right? So
quadruple major, anybody?
Yeah, there you go. Quadruple major. You. Yeah. Victor Gonsalves, how do you select what course you want to do? I assume that question is which type of engineering major. And Hamza, I think you wanted this question, so go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is like your first 2 to 3 years, just get all the required coursework out of the way to the best of your ability, and then when it comes time to like selecting your electives and whatnot, look at the list, read all the requirements, and figure out what piques your interest, and just take those classes. I mean, you have nothing to lose. Like, I hate using the word passion because then people especially like college students are like, oh, okay, I need to have like the perfect thing. But you don't need the perfect thing. You just need to have an interest in it, and that's it.
Yeah, love that. Did you have anything to add, Ashton?
Oh yeah. I had to do this thing with like the freshmen in my electrical engineering program. They didn't realize that some of these classes are restricted to certain semesters. So some things are available in spring and some are available in fall. And like they were like, oh, our advisor didn't tell us that. I'm like, well, do you talk to your advisor? Not really. Well, that's the first thing. That's what they're for. You should have a good relationship with your advisor. That's pretty much their job. A second thing, like Hamza said, do your requisites first. Like make sure you get them out of the way. Everything that you need in order to advance in your major and your core major classes, go for them. And with your electives, they're kind of like paddings for your grade. So if you want to like have electives that pad your grade, choose the easy ones. If you want to have electives that like help shape or mold your future, like for me, I'm in EE, but I'm also taking like fluid dynamics, thermodynamics as electives. Are they fun? No, but they help me to go with my future. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love this. Hey, 1% Nation, we've got up to 40 people in here. It's more than we've had all night. So go ahead and smash that like button. Only 18 of you, 375 people have stopped by, and only 18 of you have hit that like button. So if you're new here, make sure you hit that like button. And make sure you subscribe. This is the 1% Engineer Show, where we help empower young engineers to rise to the top 1% of their career. We do this every Thursday night, tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So we could have the lovely Serena with us. And I think that you have to go in 3 minutes, or is your call Yep, so you have to go. So we'll give you as many questions as possible, but make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future streams and videos. Let's get right into a question. Hopefully give one to Serena. Actually, this is a great parting question. So SportsTube has another question. This one is for kids. So say you have somebody who's in high school or a little bit younger, and they say about pursuing a mechanical engineering career. What is something, I get a lot of these questions is what can I do to make sure that mechanical engineering is for me? What would you say to somebody who's maybe 17 or 18 and wanting to make sure that mechanical, how did you know mechanical was the right choice for you, Serena?
So okay, so for me, the reason I chose mechanical is because, like I had this opportunity to kind of like bring my designs to life, and I was like, oh, mechanical is kind of like you build stuff. But then also I was very curious about, like different things. And, like we mentioned earlier, mechanical engineering was kind of like a safe major where you had the possibility to kind of like explore different industry in just one major. So, like you have aerospace, pharmaceutical, or whatnot. And, knowing that, I was like, well, if I chose this different type of courses, I was kind of like have an idea what I like, what kind of industry I want to pursue further after graduation. And mechanical engineering was offering me that opportunity. So those were the kind of like two reasons why I chose this major. And I'm happy that I stuck with it. So now, as a 17 or 18 years old, I would say you're probably a year before graduating high school. And I think, like the best way would be maybe talk to, like find a mentor or maybe talk to a mechanical engineer, either in college or find a professor in university. Find someone who can kind of like show you different type, like what mechanical engineers do, whether it's in their day in the life of a mechanical engineer in different kind of industry, but also maybe talk to your high school professor. Maybe they have like a sort of like little projects that they have in high school where you can get involved in, and that will kind of like help you figure out whether you like to build stuff, because mechanical engineering, is all about, building something, building a product. So if you're kind of like the person who enjoys doing that, then yeah. And again, like, whether you start, you pick your major, as a freshman, as a mechanical engineer, I would say, like the first year, or actually the first 2 years of, your engineering student life, you don't have to get stuck to a major, because you have that opportunity to kind of explore what you like and what you don't like. And different courses are kind of the same in all major, like electrical engineering, civil, whatnot. Like usually, like university usually have that kind of like general courses for all engineering students, and they have like engineering labs for all students, and it kind of like helps you figure out, like whether you really like a certain type of major. So that's also an opportunity that they give you, before, I mean, like while you are, like in college. So I would say don't get too stressed out about it. Like you don't have to know exactly what kind of engineer you would like to be at the end of the day, but it's kind of like about what you want to do at the end. Do you want to build like really cool, rockets? Do you want to build like a really cool turbine? Do you want to drive a Tesla car? Stuff like that. And you gotta like figure out all these things on your own by getting involved. So
Awesome,
yeah.
awesome. Thanks for that. You got to run, don't you, Serena?
Yeah, I have to.
Well, thank you so much for
Thanks,
joining
Ed.
us. Go ahead and find Serena Yambe on LinkedIn, guys. You guys can connect. Thank you so much, Serena. See you again in another live stream. Peace out. Thanks for stopping by. All right. So I want to answer this question in the chat right now because I know Clinton Anthony is here. So I'm in high school. Oh, sorry. Chess Trader. If you're a lot older and looking for a career change, would a 2-year technician degree make more sense? Not really, because a technician is not the same. It's not going to make you eligible to be a real engineer. You're not going to be able to sit for a PE. So I just wanted to jump in, and that is what's set up for a 2+2 type of situation where you would go to community college or go to a tech college or technician program, and then you would transfer in in and then do final 2 years, final 3 years at a accredited, ABET accredited 4-year engineering program. That's what Hamza has done. He has two-year degrees, and now he's a full-time mechanical engineer at University of North Carolina, Charlotte. So it is a thing that people do. Let's get right back into the list of questions. Maestro, SportsTube, Bloodkill, Luis Fernandez. You guys are all your questions are coming. So let's see here. Maestro, what's the industry like? I'm really curious. Structural engineering, for example. So structural engineering is probably the meat and potatoes core of civil engineering. I don't really like the question. It's too broad. What's the industry like? Like, I mean, you design buildings, you work at a computer, you probably don't go out in the field a whole lot, you work as a team. I really like more specific questions because what's the industry like? It's like, I don't know what that question is. So if you could get a little more specific, I'll answer however, what's the industry like? I mean, this is still like, it's a really open-ended question. I find you're gonna have. So here's what the industry is like. You have big engineering firms who work on big mega projects, and you're gonna be a part of a little tiny team and report to an engineer who reports to another engineer who reports to another engineer. And yeah, you might be working on this huge project, but you're working on a little tiny piece of it, and you may be working on the same project for like 2-3 years, and it probably gets boring. You could even be on the inspection side. A lot of structural engineers don't like it because it's like the same stuff over and over and over again, and that's why I avoided structural engineering because I'm just not into it. So there you go.
And typically,
go ahead.
Yeah, and I guess this is like another career thing that Cal Newport kind of talks about is typically at the entry level positions, the work is not interesting. The work only gets interesting as you move up the chain, because a lot of times, like the people at the top, they're like, okay, yeah, I don't want to do this part. This part is boring or whatever. Like, this is a menial task. So they'll give it to somebody down below. So when you get in the entry level position, your job is to like just really do the best you can at the entry level position and leverage that into the next thing. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. Hey, Ashton, let us know when you're ready to show one of your projects. I see you over there tinkering, so just let me know, and you can have the mic.
I got bored, and then like my initial password project, only the coding parts worked, so I could only explain the coding part, but the actual physical part, I think that I took the budget route. I was like, I don't need buttons. I'm gonna just use LEDs for everything. Then I was like, maybe I would need some buttons, And then I just got too lazy to make it over with buttons and switches, actual buttons and switches, rather than using like a bunch of LEDs. But I can explain the coding part. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, might as well go ahead.
I have to load my code. I will about 10 minutes. I should be good.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right, moving on to these other questions. Okay, so Bloodkill 666, they're probably gone. Welding engineering, a good job. So, we did do a video called 100 Types of Engineering, and welding engineering is not on that. So I think that's made up. But there is a type of engineering called metallurgical engineering, and these are engineers that work with different metal combos and things like that. I just have a feeling that this person with Bloodkill 666 as a YouTube handle, and you're asking about welding engineering, like maybe you're in the welding industry and you're just hopeful that you can go into engineering. There's a way to do it. It's probably just becoming a mechanical engineer. Luis Fernandez, MBA really that valuable out of college? Isn't the value of an MBA come after you have experience in the industry? Yeah, I don't think you should get an MBA right out of college. Most people, they get that 4 or 5 years. They do just what I suggest for any sort of grad school is go get to work right away, and then get your 2, 3, 4, usually 4 or 5 years experience, 6 years experience, then go get your MBA after it's going to benefit you in the way that you hope, right? Just coming out of school, there's no way to know if you actually need it, want it, or if it's going to be good for you. So that's why most people wait. And you may find an employer that will actually pay for it. And so if you just foot the bill right out of school, then you're potentially missing out on opportunities for somebody to pay your way. Adele says, Daniel, which engineering is fun? Oh, geez, I'm going to skip right over that question because it depends who you ask. But all engineering is hard and ruthless and kind of sucks, but it's very rewarding if you can survive through the projects and stay up late and do all the hard work. And that's why we make extra money and get lots of respect is because it does suck and it is hard. And if you can make it, you have more bank account dollars and more sort of respect out there in society. But fun? I mean, fun is about like finding your passion, and at least that frustration and hard work can be put into something that you care about. That's what's cool about engineering, is you have the potential to do that. Okay, Hamza, what's this question? Owen, your question is coming up. Nora Lee, Juan, Foley, Chess Trader, Mr. Define, and Dalver, all your questions. Let's just move through questions real fast. Guys, go ahead and smash that like button, all 36 of you here. There has been 430 people who have stopped by and only 28 people who've hit the like button. So go ahead and make sure you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because we do this live stream every Thursday night around 8 p.m. Eastern time. This time we got started at 7, and we release a weekly video, at least sometimes two. Join the Discord server where we have over 900 engineers to be your friends and conversational partners for your engineering success. And if you want to be one of, we're only taking 50 people for the 1% Engineer remote internship. I already got my first email from Greg. Look at that, Greg, 1% internship 2021. Go ahead and send me an email, hello@jakevorhees.com, because last time we advertised it, we got 8 people. What we're doing is, okay, what's the problem? Can't get an internship because of COVID-19? Well, you can do the 1% Engineer remote internship, where we give you a 10 to 12 week plan so that you can do the experience and portfolio items at home. We're going to give you modules where you can teach yourself, build things yourself, and then present them with credibility and authority yourself. So if you want to be a part of that program, we're doing a pilot in January of 2021. Send us an email. We already have about 10 people. So with 900 in the Discord, these spots are going to fill fast. So make sure you email us tonight so that you can be a part of the team that helps us plan that. All right, next question. Noriel Islam. I forgot to mention this, but I'm doing engineering just for the sake of knowledge and interest. Oh my God. Rip.
Hank, you skipped over the previous question.
Oh yeah, sorry. Your question for you, Hamza. Yeah, the yellow. Okay, so it's actually Olin Dulawin. I'll murder names on streams all night long. Do you guys see many engineers coming from other countries to work in the U.S.? I'm interested in trying to get a job in the U.S. once I get my master's degree, and what the opportunities are like. Hamza, you are perfectly suited to take this question. Take it away.
Yes, many people do come abroad over here to the United States to study engineering, because the United States does need engineers, and yeah, that is primarily why, supply and demand. But there are some caveats and stuff to know. Like, as an international person coming into this country, you will likely have to work harder, most likely, in that engineering position. And depending on where you're from, it might be harder for you to get that green card and get that citizenship. Like, I can tell you already, if you're from China, if your citizenship is from China or India, it might take you 10 plus years, simply because of the sheer amount of people that have applied into the lottery system, and the fact that many of these countries do abuse the lottery system as well, and a whole bunch of other factors that you have to deal with as well. Now, if you're like from France or whatnot, like my mom had a friend who was from France, and they got their green card in like 6 months. Also, the more skilled you are in this country, like if you're a professor or something like that, and they could, because the US considers that valuable, it will happen very fast.
Very cool, very cool. Thanks for that, Hamza. Noor al-Islam says, I forgot to mention this, but I'm doing engineering just for the sake of knowledge and interest. Is it a bad mentality? I'll doubt I will work as an engineer after. Am I wasting my time? Okay, so my instinct...
You're crazy.
Yeah, you're fucking crazy. Be quiet. Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? Demonetize. I mean, honestly, this is the type of question that somebody asks when it's not actually the decision they need to make. This is a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old type of like attitude who does, like, if you really have to put your life on the line and your pain and energy and your resources on the line and your future on the line, you don't make decisions like this. Like, this is ridiculous. So then what are you going to do? It's like, let's play devil's advocate. It's like, okay, you're just going to do engineering just for the sake of knowledge and interest. Well, then what are you going to do? I doubt I will work as an engineer. Well, then what? Okay, well then you can, fortunately, with an engineering degree, you can do whatever you want. You can get into any sort of career. But like, why even go to college? Take a gap year, go travel, go find yourself, go talk to people about what you want to do for the rest of your life. Because spending a bunch of money and working really hard on something that sucks for 4 years to then not have a reward after is absurd. So yeah, I can't connect to this, and I've never in my life of doing this for 4 years, I mean, answering tens of thousands of questions, this is certainly one of the more absurd ones in a good way. I mean, I respect it. I don't want to trash it too much, but it's just like a really crazy attitude. So
I could give an input.
yeah, go ahead.
If you want to do that, you can buy the books that they learn in 4 years and just read the books, and that's way cheaper. You won't get the college experience, but it's way cheaper, and you get what you're looking for, the knowledge. So
yeah, and you didn't pay
Yeah.
a ton of money, and you honestly, imagine going to people and telling them that, oh yeah, I'm doing engineering, but I'm definitely not going to do engineering after. I'm just doing it for fun. Like, people are going to think you're crazy. Like, you will avoid that too. So Juan Jose says, I understand what you just said about having multiple degrees, but what about in the case of electrical and computer when it's only an extra semester anyway? Okay, I love this question. So I had a good friend named Brad Allman he was a computer engineer, and he double majored in electrical engineering with like 2 extra classes, okay? Because that's how similar the degrees were. All right, so the only time I think double majoring, like electrical engineers will double major in math by just taking an extra semester. The only way minoring or double majoring makes any sense to me is if you can do it in the same exact amount of time allocated, or meaning, okay, you can do it, it only takes 4 years to get both degrees, or you don't have to pay for it, okay? So I don't think it's worth it to pay an extra semester to double major and get another degree that's basically the same as your first degree, when if you think about the opportunity cost of that semester, you could have paid an extra, let's say you're doing $50,000 a year, you paid an extra $25,000 for that semester, and you missed out on a half a year's salary for electrical engineering, which could have been like half of 80 grand. So you just paid essentially an extra $65,000 to get a double major that you didn't need. So this is why people like me, they look at that with such an acute lens. It's not just getting an extra degree for an extra semester. There's a huge opportunity cost represented there. And so I do not think you should do it, even if it's an extra semester. If it's free and you're having the time of your life and you are so attached to getting a double major, fine, but you really don't need to. We got probably 10 more questions here, so let's just keep crushing through here. Foley, Chess, Mister, Define, Dalvir, Quincy, Football Junkie, Purdue. All your questions are coming right up. So Foley has, programming is a new skill in this era. What programming software to develop in civil engineering other than MATLAB? I was going to pass this question to you, Ashton, but for civil engineering, I think what you need to be looking at is BIM, okay? Building Information Modeling, or BRIM, Bridge Information Modeling, and how to code back-end code for BIM, and that is going to be the coding application for the future of civil engineering. That's what you need to learn about. Let's see here. Chess Trader, what if you're a lot older in your 30s and you're looking for a career change? Would a 2-year technician, we already answered that one actually. I jumped in and skipped ahead to that one. So I hope you figured out what you need to learn for that one. Thanks for that question. Mr. Manny says, Hamza, Jake Astro, how did you get your first internship? Okay, great.
Asked.
Sorry? You
At least for getting at 1%, I just asked.
Yeah,
work.
You asked and showed up with ambition. I think that the way to get your first internship is you got to.
Sorry, not trying to be condescending.
No, it's okay, but you got to. It is just ask, and you got to go to the people who you know already. Mr. Manny, the boss is their name. What you got to do is you got to go to the people who already know you and ask them for an introduction to somebody in the industry. So go to your engineering professors, especially the ones that you have decent grades with. Go back to your high school math, science teachers. Go to Uncle Steve and ask these people to introduce you to an engineer in their life. Okay, that's what you got to do. Anybody who is the chapter president of your ASCE club, or is an officer for your solar power car organization, or Engineers Without Borders, or whatever, anybody who's in any sort of position of authority within STEM in general most likely knows engineers, and that's the path. I got my first internship because my mom went to high school with a guy who was a surveyor, and I worked with this surveyor for like a year year after high school. I was like 16, and then he introduced me to his first employer, and I got a job at Macron in Elkton, Maryland. And after my second year of civil engineering, instead of being a camp counselor, I was actually designing housing plots as a 19-year-old sophomore in college, which was awesome. How did you get your internship? Have you had an actual like in-person internship, Ashton?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How'd you get that? How'd you get your first one?
My first one. My first one was like kind of like an assistant instructor, and that had to do with like my karate background. So if you're thinking Mr. Miyagi type, drama or whatever, yeah, it was definitely like that. It was just like, oh, you're at a certain belt level, time to go. This is what we do in real life. And then it's just like from there to managing the dojo to teaching students, to learning how children work and how the mind works and how teaching works, learning how to serve people needs, and then my actual one related to my academic career, which is engineering, that has to do with, when I'm an engineer, and like Hunter said, I follow directions. I looked in the Discord. I kind of said pretty please, and they said okay.
Nice. Hamza, if you can, when you recall your memories, what did you think you did and said to me to like stand out? Because there was plenty of people who were asking to help out with 1% back then, but you were the only one who did. Any tips for people to stand out?
Yeah, well, one, do the work. Go. That's step one. And the other thing is just find ways to help other people, find ways to help your boss or supervisor reduce his stress, and then like find ways to improve the organization and the company itself. And you should be in good shape.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, just get started and show your value and basically give them a preview of what you got and how you can support, and just go right for it and you're going to be fine. Awesome. Okay, so let's see here. Define, your question is, do structural engineers and transfer engineers make the same money? I'm interested in both. Great. I am well suited to take this question because I'm a transportation engineer technically. So I think that define random. So honestly, you're kind of splitting hairs here. Okay, so maybe structural engineers who are actually working on big projects make a little bit more money, the ones who might have a master's degree in something. Like the top end for structural engineering salary is high, but it is not necessarily the case that all structural engineers are going to be able to make more than other types of civil engineers. So I think you're just splitting hairs here. Plus, I really don't like questions like this because I don't like the idea of somebody choosing an engineering sector or niche because of the money, okay? Especially when we're talking like 1 or 2% differences. What you need to do is find out which one you like more, because transportation and structural are very different, even though they're both civil engineering degrees. So find out what one you're most passionate about, okay? And if you can get into BIM, and if you are into some of the more disruptive design technologies, like watch the TED Talk on how they're doing suspension bridges and like floating pylon suspension bridges. Like, are you more excited about that, or are you more excited about electric cars and flying drones for delivery systems and sort of remote sensing infrastructure and all of those things, that the cool stuff of transportation? You got to figure out which one you like the most, and don't make a decision based on money, okay? Dalvlier, is it better to do a master's in the same degree or a BS in a similar degree? For example, if you did a BS in mechanical, should you build on that and do a master's of science in mechanical or something like aerospace? It depends on what you want. So again, you're the type of person who's making a career decision when you should not be thinking about this, because if you were able to choose the right master's degree right now, if you were in a career zone where it was the right time to choose the right master's degree, you would not have this question, okay? You would be talking to colleagues and talking to people who are actually gatekeepers and stakeholders in the future of your career, and they would be helping you with this decision. So I just find this to be another one of those conversations where that you're planning out a degree before you're probably not even more than a freshman. You're probably like in high school or maybe a freshman in university, and you're talking about which type of master's degree that you need. You could transfer out of engineering, so I just find that people want to plan all this out. This is a very left brain, logical thinking type of flaw, is that you kind of have to get started before you can see the top of the staircase and just go and have faith. Because the advantage is not doing mechanical and then doing something else. The advantage is choosing the right advanced degree so that you will be happy and feel fulfilled in your career and not hate your job. And trust me, doing something that's going to make you more money or position you better, these things won't make you happier, okay? You might feel cooler for a couple of years, but they're not going to help you with your career fulfillment. So, anything to add, Ashton or Hamza, to that?
Nah, you
No,
got
I
it.
think you summed it up.
Cool. All right, Quincy Perry, how important is it to have a master's? These master's questions tonight, jeez. How important is it to have a master's in physics and electrical engineering? Interesting. So I don't understand why you're able to major in things like math, physics, and chemistry, because they should just make schools that, like, okay, you want to be a chemist, go to this school, and the only thing you can study is chemistry. Because if you get a physics degree, what are you going to do with your career? Okay, you're going to, maybe a couple companies need to hire physicists, but there's very few. Okay, getting a degree in physics means that you need to be a researcher or you need to be in academics for physics. That's basically it. So you never see people getting a master's degree in physics after being an electrical engineer. You see the opposite. I'll never forget, when I was touring University of Wisconsin while choosing that for grad school, there were math majors there were physics majors there were chemistry majors there, and there were these STEM majors that knew that they couldn't get the proper type of career launch with just their physics degree, so they went and got a master's degree in electrical engineering. You see the opposite. You don't do engineering undergrad and then do physics. That would be crazy. And the only types of, I don't know, what do you think about this, Ashton? As an electrical engineer, maybe I should have kicked this right over to you first, but what do you, am I hitting home here or what?
You're doing physics as an EE. I don't know. You probably do enough for fun. We like maths. That's about it.
The question, I think, is more so how important is it to have a master's of physics for have a master on physics? I don't know if they're talking about a master's degree or master physics.
I think they mean like masters of the concept.
Yeah, I think so too. It's super important. I mean, you get into electricity and magnetism, and you get into high theoretical. So yeah, maybe you can take this and expand on that, since I missed the question.
Let's see. I'll use my senior design idea for this. My senior design is basically a motor with a 10% increased efficiency, because I already made a motor before. And the 10% increase in efficiency basically means that I have to first measure the weight that it could have pulled before, and now I understand, okay, how will I get it to lift this new weight? And as you know, that has like Newton's law, that has mass, that has kinematics, all that inside there. So like, unless I really know physics or the concept of physics and how it works, and how like a pulley system works and how tension and all that works, I wouldn't be able to pull this idea at all. So yeah, you have to really know your physics.
Yeah,
Or mainly math.
Yeah, no, 100%. Electrical engineering has more math and more theoretical physics type math and calculus than any other degree. So yeah, you really need to be on point with that. Football Junkie says, hi. Thanks for your content and live feeds. I got injured at my previous career, and after 18 years, I'm unable to return due to the industry. They're technically paying me to finish my Bachelor's of Science in Mechanical Engineering Technology at Purdue. Great school. I applied to Purdue for grad school, and I didn't get in. The plan is to get my FE right out of school. Good plan, especially since I'm older. Do you have any advice for this old guy? I'll be competing with guys half my age. So advice on what? I would have not worked in a corporate job. Advice for passing the FE, or advice for career things? Like, what do you need advice on? And we can give you specific stuff about that, Football Junkie. Thanks for that question. Jeremy Galloway says, there are grants for engineering students that are not a minority and don't have the best grades. Are there grants for engineering students that are not a minority and don't have the best grades? I like the suggestion in that question that is meaning like, oh, if I was a minority, I'd have more opportunity for sponsorship money or grant money. Not necessarily. Like, just because you're white doesn't mean it's harder for you to like you honestly getting sponsorships and grant money is about doing the hustle and finding the grants and just writing an essay. I can't tell you how many grant authorities for just like $1,000 here, $5,000 here. There's so few people who even apply to grants and things that they are forced to just give it to the one person who wrote an essay. So it's mostly about like your grind of finding them. It's no different than getting a job, right? Like if you want to have somebody else pay for your university and your college journey, you got to go out there and hustle and work hard. Just like the same types of kids who get the right job offers is they grinded out networking and got internships and interface with their professors. So the grant and the sponsorship conversation is the same. They're out there for you. You got to find them. You got to work hard. And we actually don't get a whole lot of questions about sponsorships and grant things, so I really do appreciate that question. Are there grants for engineering students that are not a minority? Oh, that's so funny. Clinton Anthony, is there any way I can prepare as a high school student for mechatronics? So mechatronics is, again, an intersection type of degree. So the way you can prepare as a high school student is take AP Calculus, take AP Physics, take the most advanced chemistry that you can, even though you're not going to have as much chemistry in engineering instead of chemical engineering outside of chemical or materials engineering, but it's still a STEM related hard class that will help you get in, but especially calc and physics. And I took AP statistics, so that wouldn't hurt. But those are the only ways you can prepare. Other ways you can prepare for mechatronics is just make sure you like it. Make sure you want it. Go watch our video on what do mechatronics engineers do and figure out is that actually the direction, and just start to get excited about what you want. And then really choose between electrical and mechanical. Don't try to go to one of the siloed programs that you can actually major in at an undergraduate level in mechatronics. There's so few. Mostly it's a grad thing, but mostly mechatronics is like it's not really a degree. It's more like a lane. For example, I'm a traffic engineer, but I don't have a degree that says that. I'm a civil engineer who's specialized in transportation, who's specialized in traffic, and then really there's more specializations after that. But that's kind of what mechatronics is. Hamza, you're somebody who you wrote the script for what do mechatronics engineers do. You're a mechanical engineer. And here we have a mechatronics. If you do the fusion between Ashton and Hamza, you get a mechatronics engineer. So Hamza, maybe what do you think about this? High schoolers preparing for mechatronics. What do you have to say to them?
Robotics club.
Yep.
That's probably the closest thing that you have.
Yep.
That was suggested in the chat.
Yep.
But honestly, like in college, you gotta be general. Mechanical, electrical, computer science, and computer engineering. Those are your 4 options for getting into robotics, depending on what aspect you want to work into. Whatnot.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Ashton? Go ahead. Say it now. Oh yeah. Good luck. I had the Star Fox accent.
Very competitive.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be a mechatronics engineer. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. I know, right? Why can't we just go back to like, I don't know, building roads?
I know, right? It's all crazy now. Okay.
Traffic be hectic.
We only have 2 questions in this document, so 1% Nation, drop your questions in before we clip this stream. We've been going for about an hour and a half. We're going to keep going for a couple more minutes here and get in some grand finale questions. But there's only 1 person and 2 questions left, so go ahead and drop them in. Define Random says, you said earlier, engineering is hard. Just wondering, can you elaborate on that? Because honestly, I don't think anything is hard, just involves work. Oh man, there's a whole world laughing about this right now. Is it kind of scary hearing what you said that it's hard? What do you mean? So if I'm the first person that's telling you that engineering is hard, that's crazy to me. Like what type of engineering are you learning about? Because
what type of rock you live under?
Yeah, exactly. What type of rock have you just crawled out from under? Because everybody says engineering is hard because it is. I mean, without question, it's any type of engineering. I'm a civil engineer, which is kind of arguably the easiest one and gets paid a little bit less. I mean, maybe industrial engineering is below us, but honestly, every type of engineering will get respect. Every type of engineering has a hard journey with a lot of physics and a lot of math and a lot of things that most college students can't endure, and that's why the transfer rate is pretty high, and the the entrance from starting in engineering and going to business school. These types of moves are very popular at the university level. So nobody's trying to scare anybody. We're trying to speak the truth here at the 1% Engineer Show live, which is the fact that like I had to take 7 engineering math courses for my degree, just math, okay? And then there was all the dynamics and the statics and the fluid mechanics and thermo and electricity, magnetism, and it is crazy. So it's not easy. We're not trying to sugarcoat anything over here. We're not trying to scare you, okay? But the reality is that it's hard, and that is what it is. Define Random has a follow-up to that. Third question, what's the schooling to become a surveyor, and how can you advance? I love this question because I was actually a surveyor. So when I told that story about getting my first internship, I worked as a surveyor. Maybe that's where this question is coming from. So surveying is kind of a career that it's too late to go into it because it's all robotic, and like one guy with a robotic survey station can go go survey a whole field and do all this crazy stuff. They have LiDAR. It's almost you're not even valued like an engineering technician would be. Like you don't need a formalized education in any fashion. And so I really am going to discourage surveying. It's a skill that you need to understand, particularly around civil engineering, and it is something that you just need to understand, but it's far and away subordinate compared to any sort of engineering type of positioning. So that's all I have to say about that. Dre Page, Robo, and Abdiner, thanks for the questions. Your questions are coming up. Dre Page, any tips for finding a mentor near you? Oh, great. This is kind of like the second half of our the top 10 people engineering internship playbook. Hamza, do you have any tips for finding a mentor near your geographic location is what Dre Page is asking?
As far as near your geographic location, not really, but as far as finding a mentor, yes. That I do have experience in.
What tips would you have?
Right.
No, Hamza recommend himself.
I would say the
I'll
first
cry.
thing is like yeah, I mean it really comes down to like you gotta do the work, you gotta show the willingness to like learn. I would say it's intellectual curiosity. It's just always asking questions and then actually doing the work. If you do those things, then you put yourself out there, good things will happen. Like it's not a coincidence that you and me met, Jake.
Yeah.
And then I had another mentor in learning social skills and whatnot. It was like the way we met. It was not a coincidence either.
How did you meet him again?
Yeah, so basically I was out and about at night socializing, and then through my group of friends, basically he was just there and we just hit it off essentially because I was asking all these questions, and then he was like, "Yeah, let me show you X, Y, and Z, and you're doing these things wrong." And from there it just snowballed.
Cool. Yeah. Somebody said any neural engineers in the chat. I'm like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Biomedical engineering, working in neural applications.
Yeah, it's biomedical.
Yeah, basically, which is only 19,000 engineers in biomedical. I've never heard of neural engineering. Whenever I get these weird questions about engineering, we did do a video that is 100 types of engineering, and I remember every single one of them, okay? And so if it's something that isn't in that video, like my criteria for being included in that video is, did somebody create a Wikipedia page for that type of engineering, right? And so the internet thinks that there's enough momentum to build it. And so neural engineering, I've never heard of that. What would that even be? I mean, it's like stem cell engineering, working with the brain, like what? Anyway, so yeah, good, cool thing. I've just never heard of it. Okay, Robo Serpent, what benefits? These master's degree questions today. I guess everybody's got grad school on their head because they can't get a job or an internship. Robo Serpent, what benefits does a master's degree bring over a bachelor's? I mean, we have really hammered this topic to death, and with that being said, I guess there's a whole bunch of people here who weren't here for the other conversations. What's up?
Yeah, I think what it is that like because people are going through tough times, this master's thing almost feels like people are trying to delay the inevitable of like finding a job.
Yeah, so this is what happened. So, guys, I graduated in 2009 when the housing bubble burst. So, that was 11 years ago, and I'm 33. And this is exactly why I went to grad school. It was to delay the job hunting process in a bad economy. And so, I guess that is what all these master's degree questions are. We are sitting here only 9 months into this pandemic. 8 months into this pandemic, and so people are thinking like, what if it is another 3 months to hit the 1 year mark, and then another year, right? And so if you can get into grad school and sort of delay the whole process, then maybe that's just what it is. So yeah, what are the
You know, it's funny.
Go ahead.
Me and my friends have like a completely different outlook on this whole pandemic thing. Like from the pandemic started, we got it in our head, okay, the people who were employed, some of them are sick. They will need to be replaced. If we're graduating around the same time that the pandemic is going to be slowing down, we found it like a big opportunity to get landing these jobs that other people would be, have to be replaced for. Because eventually these establishments want to build back up to where they were. That's the whole idea. They need to hire people. They'll have to bring people in. They wouldn't just say like, okay, we lost these people, so we never try to go back up there again. No, eventually like we saw it as, yo, this is the biggest job draft ever, and they will need like replacements. So we kind of got in there
I
thinking,
mean,
hey, if we prepare ourselves, like we build up our portfolio during these times, when they are looking, we'll go there and like feel, a bigger opportunity, I guess. That's how we saw it.
yeah, I mean, I guess to add on top of this like downturn type thing is I think there's more opportunity in the downturns than there are in the good times. It's just you have to look for it and you can't be caught up in the noise.
Yeah, you just have to change your strategy. It's so funny. Yeah, you're right. You and your friends asking about the people who are entering the market at the downturn of the pandemic. Because if you had graduated last spring, whoo, that's not a great time. And you kind of have to ride the wave, and that really sucks. And for me, it was fall of 2008. September is when Lehman Brothers broke, and then we had 50% of the S&P 500 that lost value until March of 2008, and then I graduated in April of 2008. So it was
Damn.
so that was a situation where delaying it by another 2 years was perfect. And then it was still kind of hard to find a job, but it was much better. And I think you have a year? Are you done in the spring? You're done in the spring, aren't you, Ashton?
I'm done with my course. I just have a bunch of electives left, and then I'll be done in the fall.
Okay, so you have a whole another year. So you'll be looking to enter the job market like January of 2022, huh?
Yeah,
Okay, so
sadly.
you're gonna be okay. Yeah, but sadly, but at the same time, would you rather be entering the job market in January 2021? Probably not. I'll take that extra year for you.
I mean, it depends, because remember, my local region, remember I told you earlier, the guys
I
here,
mean,
they
the
need to
cream
be
rises to the
replaced as
top,
soon as
so
possible.
What were you saying, Ashton? I missed the second part.
Remember when I was telling you, like, in my region, the engineers, like, a lot of them got sick. I don't know why. I think COVID has some for engineers.
Well,
Anyways,
you're in a travel sector. You're in a travel sector, There's got to be
yeah.
so much coronavirus coming and going in the Bahamas. Like, this is just what it is, right?
So, like, locally, it's not so bad if you're graduating, like, spring or fall, because the people there, they know they're overworked. I've talked to my friends who work to like the engineering companies, the major engineering company over here. She's like, yeah, we're overworked. It doesn't be easy. I have to like do 3 and 4 people job, and it's not easy. So that they're hungry for more people.
Yeah, I got you. The Voorhees has too. Oh, I was looking at Jeremy Galloway. Oh, yep. Hello at jakevoorhees.com if you guys are interested in the virtual internship. So if you guys want a part of the virtual internship, if you want to do an official virtual internship, I guess it's like remote internship through 1% Engineer, we are designing the perfect internship for you. So go ahead and say virtual internship or remote internship in the chat, and we're going to make sure to get your email. Hamza will chase you down because we're only going to allow 50 people in the program. That's the plan so far. We might add more later, but right now it's a top 50. We got about 10 people in, and what we're doing is building an internship in a box for you. Can't get an internship because of COVID-19? Here's an internship for you. Go ahead and smash that like button, guys, because only 36 people have in 615 who have stopped by with us today. Right now there's 27 of you here who's sticking around for an average of 5 minutes. It's really cool average time. So smash that like button. This is the 1% Engineer Show Live. We go live every Thursday night, most of the time at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and talk about your engineering student and career needs, problems, and questions. Join the Discord, which Astro wrote is the director of our channel, our server with over 900 young engineers. So make sure that you join that right now. Send us, so there you go, Jeremy Galloway, virtual internship, Divine Random, virtual internship. These are people that we want. Let's make sure we get these names down. What's the best way for them to send their email addresses, Hamza? I guess email us. You got to just email me. That's the way, is email me. Email me if you want an internship.
Wahid Hamza 71.
Yep, but you can't type your email in the chat, right? Is that true?
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah. Sounds good. We got to get it. I got to build an overlay for this in the future. All right, let's take a couple more questions here. I'm probably going to clip this before right around 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Robo Serpent question: what benefits? Oh, already got to that one. Abdir Nur says, if someone gets a bachelor's in engineering and then a master's in physics, this is so funny. What does it really do? It doesn't do anything. Planning on getting.
Isn't that the same question you just asked?
It's a different person. It's the same question from a different person. They say, I'm planning on getting a master's in applied physics after bachelor's in ME to do some research in the industry. Well, okay, I just don't understand this, affinity for planning out a degree before you even have the foundational degree. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm really not interested in talking about this anymore because I feel like we've hit the same question over and over again. But guys, wait until your junior year or your senior year to be considering grad school because you don't have enough experience. You don't know. You're going to be so much of a different person in your third and fourth year of mechanical engineering, like, for example, in this example. So you don't know. You're not going to be the same person tomorrow that you are today. And to think that you're going to have any clue about how you're going to feel about something 3 or 4 years from now is just absurd. So I don't understand it, and it's not the way to think about it. But to actually answer your question, what does it do? A master's in physics. I'm planning on getting a master's in applied physics after a bachelor's in ME to do research. If you really wanted to do research, then why start out with mechanical engineering, right? I don't know. I just really struggle with these 6 years of career planning. So I think you should just get your do engineering because just doing physics is way too risky. There's no way you want to have a career in research. You can do anything you want with a mechanical engineering degree, so do that, and then continue to check in and have meetings with professors or researchers. Talk to people who have the job that you think you might want and go from there. All right, this is the last question in the document. A whole bunch of letters that I can't pronounce. What's the proper way to build up some network with your professor, especially during COVID? Okay, here's what you got to do. So first of all, it's really hard for you to build a relationship with a professor if you have a D in the class. So do well, right? So do well, okay? Second thing is whatever you can during lecture is participate, okay? Raise your hand, ask questions, ask to stay after class, that sort of thing, okay? I have to imagine there's some way to participate in COVID-19 engineering lectures, so make sure you do that, okay? Is there any way to stay after class, all right? Ask for 5 minutes or ask for some questions and stay after in that virtual ecosystem. So that's 3 things right there. Do well, participate in class, stay after class. The 4th thing you need to do is find some way to participate in that professor's office hours or email with them or build some sort of conversation back and forth outside of the actual class environment, okay? And so you can be emailing them, and then you can also have meetings with them and do virtual office hours or virtual coffees or whatever to build a better relationship with them. And when they see that you've invested in their course and in the relationship with them, they will give you that time back with advice. Just like our team, we have all these team members like Hamza and Ashton who invest in 1% Engineer and give the community, all of you, and the organization their time, and what they get back in exchange is some mentorship with me and something for their career and some awesome impact on your lives. But there's this reciprocity of time investment. If you invest more time in that professor, they will invest more time back in you. This is what a relationship is. This is why we hate it when a friend just calls us and is like, hey, how you doing? They don't really care. They're not giving you any of their time, but then it's like, hey, will you come to my whatever party? There's a reciprocity of time, and that's what you need to establish with your professors. Great question. You guys have anything to add to that about building relationships with professors? Go ahead.
If you got a math professor, learn some math things. If you got a physics professor, learn some physics things. Like, just don't show up there empty-eyed and be like, hi, how you doing? My name is Paul. Nah, like, go in there with, like, something in your hand. Like, if your professor's like, digital signal processing, learn about a filter. Hey, I don't know, do some schematics on filters. Be like, hey, where did I go wrong, etc., etc. Like, show them something, and they'll definitely show you something about it.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned this. This is what you got to do on top of what Ashton just said. So go to the professor's university website. Like every single staff, every single professor of a university has a website where you can see what their research is, the names of their grad students, the papers that they've published, and go read 2 or 3. Just glance at them and show up with questions about their research. Know exactly what their top 4 PhD students are working on. Know the conferences that they've presented at. Know everything about them, which is all public information, and show up with questions about that. Show your interest. Again, the reciprocity of time investment. Invest in their career. Want to get to know them. Want to learn more things about them, and they will be intrigued. Do they have a book? Buy it and read it, and then you will be so much more suited to build a relationship with that professor than if you just walk in cold. Cool stuff. Hamza, you got anything to add to that? Professor relationship building?
Ask. People want to help you.
Ask. People are there. Ask for nothing and you get nothing. Let's see. Final question here in the list. Carlos Bravo, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you think it's a good idea to leave your first company a couple years after graduating as opposed to staying at the same company? It's a great question. We don't get enough of these real career questions. There's so many like how to
sound like one for you.
Yeah. This is a really good question. I've read that people who leave make much more. Okay, so we had a team member on here, Serena Yambe, for the first hour of the stream, and we talked about how she's pretty soon coming up on her 2-year anniversary. So she graduated a year or 2 ago. She's been with the same company for about 2 years. So the 2-year milestone is a nice marker along with the 4-year milestone. And you do, to answer your question straight up, you do have opportunities to move around. Okay, so historically, people would get a job at a company and they would stay for a long time, or they'd be expected to hit that 5-year, that 10-year mark, and then they would be considered for future things. So now how it works is when you just come out of university, I think that you will be perceived negatively if you leave a job after the first year, okay? So you have to really hate it or really be in a bad spot with either the company culture or the work environment or have conflicting things with a team or a supervisor or a boss. And you need to have a good story if you're going to leave in a year. A lot of people leave after 2. They put in their 2 years and then they jump, okay? I actually encourage you to do that. I really do. I don't think that you should do what I did, and I hit my 5-year anniversary with my first company, and probably if I had jumped, I would have been able to take a salary boost and then get more position myself better for a role that I wanted instead of always trying to like create a hybrid role or navigate. So you can jump ship at 2, and then what you want to do is if you want, and you take that career boost, you take that position that's a little cooler, you take an opportunity that's something closer to what you think you really want for your career, and then you put in another 2, and then you get your PE with that company, and then once you get the PE, you can move again. So basically in the first 5 years, you can move 3 times and not really be seen as somebody who's just jumping ship left, right, and center. And then once you move, I guess it's that first move, second, it's moving twice. So work 2 years, move once, work another 2 years, get your PE, move again. So it's 2 moves, 3 companies in 5 years, and then you kind of want to stick around and probably put in like 4 years of time. And at this point, we're looking at somebody who's about my age. I'm 33. If I had stayed in corporate engineering, I'd have like 10, 11 years of experience right now. And it would be nice to have only worked for 3, maybe most 4 companies. But then you get to the 10-year mark, you work for 6 companies. Nobody wants to hire you because they think you're just going to leave because that's what you do. So really good question. There's far more benefits, just to summarize for a 1% Nation out there, there's far more benefits in making these incremental moves and jumping around early and then kind of settling into, like, I have buddies, Grant Waldy, he's on the stream every once in a while, making like $130,000 at like 32 years old because he's done these things with his career and been really smart. So sweet. That's the last question in the document that we're keeping organized. Let's do a lightning round and get in any final questions. We can breeze past these really quickly before we clip the live stream at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm just going to go through define random. Do I still use my degree? I don't use it in the way that you're probably thinking of and asking, but the way that an engineer thinks, there's a lot of startup founders that have engineering degrees and people who are disruptors that have engineering degrees. So not like the math and the science behind my degree, but the way that engineering has helped me think. So yes, I definitely still use my degree for that. Do you like working as an engineer? It's like depressing, stressful work. So I don't even think Define Random understands that I don't even work as an engineer anymore. I've been working on a startup team for 2 years. So these other questions that are coming in. What is your opinion of civil engineering in the government as opposed to private sector? So civil engineering in the government means you're going to work on big projects. You're probably never going to lose your job. You're not going to have to work very hard, but you're not going to make as much money. So you're going to have the benefits. Basically, if you want to have a career where you just get paid well and work on cool things, but like you don't have to stay past 4:30 and you just want to make a paycheck, but you just kind of want to be lazy. Like that's what working for the government is. You have a great career. Go ahead, Hamza. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Randy told me. It's an environmental engineer that we'll be working with pretty soon. He works for the government, and he's like, yep, most of the people in the government, I hate to say it, but they are not very inspired people.
Yeah, you don't have to push. You don't have to work very hard. It's not capitalistically driven. So those are the big questions here. Get your lightning round questions in here at the grand finale, and we can answer them right before we clip this stream. Yeah, I think... Let's see, Jeremy Galloway. Let's make sure, write these names down, Hamza. Jeremy Galloway. How do we? You guys can also send me can you drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat? Maybe that's a way to circumvent this email challenge, Hamza. Is that people can send you a message on LinkedIn instead of trying to email you. So let's say best advice for high schoolers, take all your AP math and science courses and talk to engineers start building relationships with engineers to figure out which type of engineer you want to be. PE or FE. Christian, I don't understand your question. Depending on what type of engineering you are, it's gonna impact my answer of whether you need the PE or the FE. But you need them both together. It's not like, do I need the PE or the FE? They're together. FE is training wheels for the actual test. That is the PE test. Don't you make more money working for the city? No, you always make more money working in private sector. You may have more benefits, and you may have a pension, and you may have more like sick leave and a better 401k. But you're definitely going to make more money in the private sector. Manny, was it hard to start your startup company? So I wasn't a founder of the startup that I'm a part of. I was basically like person number 3 or person number 2 or something. And I helped the company go from 150,000 in revenue to over $1 million in 12 months. And so, yeah, it's been really valuable. It wasn't hard. We kind of found each other. So right before I quit my engineering job, I was meeting with entrepreneurs and basically talking more and more and interfacing more and more with people who I wanted to work with or be a part of, like their projects. And me and Marquivas, who is the founder of Nerd It Now, just kind of came together at a business event. We stayed in touch for 6 months, kind of scoped out each other's situation, and then it all worked out great. I mean, I was on ABC Shark Tank. You Google my name in Shark Tank, you see us on the internet, and it was awesome. And everything's different now. So people treat us like we won the Nobel Prize. And a lot of the things that I'm up to here, I can say as seen on Shark Tank, and just the stuff that I've been asked to partake in and be a part of since the startup experience has been really valuable and really cool. And so, yeah, I appreciate that question.
Jake, you sound like a whole Chad.
A whole Chad? Yeah. Chad for life. Yeah, it's been really cool. I mean, I've been really lucky to make some of the right decisions. And, looking back on it, there were a lot of times where I wasn't sure if I was doing the right thing. And you always feel that way in the moment. But right now, it's been pretty solid. So let's get a grand finale of likes on this video, guys. If you're here, the 35 of you, make sure you smash that like button because I want to make sure that as many people over the next 24 hours see this live stream because almost 700 people have stopped by. I know there's only 35 of you here. So make sure you subscribe. This is the 1% Engineer Show where we empower young engineers to rise to the top 1% of their career. And we do so by streaming live every Thursday night. And we release at least one video about engineering success, how to pick the right major, what do engineers do, certain types, day in the life of this or that type of engineer. Have a lot of cool things coming up, a lot of cool collaborations. So make sure you subscribe. And finally, if you are having trouble getting an internship during COVID-19, well, then we have the right product for you. Hamza Waheed has come up with a really good idea for a 1% engineer remote internship where we can give you tasks in a box 10 to 12 weeks so that you create the expertise, you generate the momentum and portfolio aspects so that you can supplement an internship that you never received because of this pandemic. We're only taking the top 50 people who want to be in. We have about 10 already. So make sure that you message Hamza on LinkedIn or send me an email, hello@jakevoorhees.com. I'm typing it in the chat right now. So send me an email about internships. We got one from Greg. We got one from Sean. We got a couple emails here about that. So make sure you secure your spot 1% Nation by emailing us tonight. Get your questions in the live stream. Only going to stream here for a couple more minutes, and then we can clip this. Let's see. Yeah, Shark Tank, like ABC Shark Tank, Christian Bees. The OG Nubs, as a former government shipyard painter starting his civil engineering journey, your answer definitely hit home. I love the security, but I want to enjoy what I do, so the decision is going to be tough. Very cool. Love to hear a follow-up discussion about that, so send us an email or comment on any YouTube video, and we can dive into that. Actually, get into the Discord server. Guys, go ahead and join the Discord server. Here, Astro Wrote is the director of that, almost getting pretty close to 1,000 engineers, have over 900, so pretty excited about that. Yeah, Shark Tank. Rudy says, I'm a big fan of the way. Thank you for your content. It is inspiring. I'm currently a rising junior at university studying industrial engineering. Very cool. Define says, are you going to send us an email or something for the internship? No, I've been asking you to send me an email, so make sure you do that. I don't think you can drop your email in the chat, so there's no way for me to email you. You have to email us. Ed Rodriguez, you look familiar. I feel like you've been in other chats, Ed. Top 3 books to read. Wow. Ooh, Hamza, get ready for this one.
The Hobbit.
Yeah, I know Hamza has a whole collection of really good personal. Actually, you go first, Hamza, and then Ashton. I don't know if you have anything to say about this question. Carlos Bravo, thank you so much for the email. Jeremy Galloway, email up. They're streaming in. Ryan Waldron, email. We got at least 4 or 5 people who are adding to the virtual internship. This live stream thing is a really good way to recruit for this internship project, Hamza. I'm really glad that we're doing this. Okay, so I'm going to pass it over to you first. I really like this question. Ed Rodriguez, top 3 books to read. Any topic, he says, because I really don't like the questions about like, what's your best engineering books? There's no good engineering books, okay? So Hamza, what would be your top 3 book suggestions for a 1% engineer who's looking to kill it in their career?
I would say, let's see, Atomic Habits is pretty good. I definitely like that one. Deep Work is pretty good. Honestly, this is a tough question, and I guess I don't really have one, so I guess I'll just suggest 3 that I think are pretty good. Let's see, Deep Work, Atomic Habits, and,
I'm looking back at my list.
I guess, So Good They Can't Ignore You, honestly.
Yeah, that's
Cal Newport has pretty good stuff.
That's kind of why it's there. Yeah. Okay, so without question, my number 1 is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So that book changed the game for me. I really like The Power of Habit, but it's not necessarily like an absolute flagship. The Power of Habit is a really good book. Honestly, The Alchemist really helped me. I'm going to give you more than 3. The Alchemist really helped me about like journey finding and making sure that you're on the right path. Shoe Dog, which is Phil Knight's book about the Nike journey, is really good. Yeah, So Good They Can't Ignore You is a very popular book. Very good. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it with those. I don't want to do too many, but yeah, those are some really good book suggestions. I think Ashton, you and I have never talked about book stuff,
Uh,
but yeah, you got any tips for us?
I am legit the kid hanging out with the veterans. All of my books are, I don't know, like I don't even read much books when it comes to academic things. I read a lot of articles, I can tell you that. Just in the summer, between summer this year and right where I am now, I've read at least 30 to 50 articles on anything I was doing engineering or with business things. And that's because I write a lot of essay articles on APA format. So yeah, I had to read a lot of articles. Do I retain all the knowledge? Not quite. Do I remember piece to piece? I do quite a lot. Basically a lot of theories and concepts, but let's see, when it comes to like books I read for leisure, a lot of them like storybooks because I have a big imagination because on the side I write. So things like The Hobbit. It was none of it. How to Catch a Mockingbird. How to
Yeah,
Catch something like that.
a lot of
Like
schools in the
those are
states
the
have
type
to
of
read
books I
that.
read.
A lot of high schools in the states, high school
Elon Musk
programs.
likes The Hobbit.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm gonna get a couple more questions out. It's really cool. We've been
It gives you
maintaining.
those. It gives you those kitties like the world is yours feels, and it's quite good.
Yeah, really cool. Thanks for those suggestions. Let's see. Carolina says, "Oh shoot, it's over. I'm always late." No problem. I think what you need to do is hit the bell and make sure that you have the notifications turned on for the channel so that you don't miss any live streams. Because yes, 702 people
Robert.
have stopped by tonight. Robert's here. Which Robert? Robert Torres, what up? I
Robert
sent
Torres.
you an email tonight. He sent me an email 8 days ago, and I'm like, oh snap, I need to get back to Robert. So Robert Torres is a engineer in Texas, like right at the very bottom, like the furthest place south you can go in Texas is way down there. He says, good evening, gentlemen. Glad to see everyone is good and healthy. Next week is finals, and it's going to get nasty real quick. No problem, man. Go ahead and get through finals, then we can talk more about this blog concept. I really like the email that you sent over lately, and then I guess it was 8 days ago, and then I replied today. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to doing something with you finally, Robert. I know you've been waiting for us. It's funny that is your handle on here Roberto Torres, or is the whole? I feel like you're something like either your email is Robert Torres or something. Maybe I got this whole thing wrong. Okay, so let's see here. What's the second link in the description of the video? Oh, it's great. Thanks, Rudy. Appreciate that. I emailed your email last week for the internship. So I emailed 8 or 9 people about the remote internship, Robo Serpent. So if you were missed, email again. And that goes out to all of you, 1% Nation. So the email follow-up is a big thing. So when you go offer an opportunity or you email someone about anything, you got to make sure you follow up. I literally have this big CRM that lets me know who I emailed and when and what it was about so I can follow up in 7 days because people miss emails. I mean, you don't want to see how much email I get. It is ridiculous. What's the Discord? What is the Discord? I would like to join. So the Discord is in the top links to the description. I think somebody already got to that. Very awesome. What's the coolest project I've ever worked on as an engineer? Jeremy Galloway, really cool question. Okay, I'll answer this really quickly. So I'm a civil engineer working in transportation, and the team that I worked on for like the peak of my corporate career was doing economic forecasting. So there would be a city who had to build a new bridge or a new highway project that would cost like $1 or $2 billion, and they didn't want to mess it up. So they hired our team and our firm to essentially model the project and tell them what's going to impact the suburban area the least. So generate the least amount of traffic and provide lesser minutes to people's commutes, lesser emissions, things like this. And so we would have to basically imagine building a scale model of New York City because they're going to build a new bridge project into lower Manhattan. Okay, so you need to build this whole model, create it to perfection as close as you can get, and then you crank it up by like 50 years and pretend that we can emulate what Manhattan is going to look like in 50 years, okay? So that would be your no build option. What happens if we don't build anything? And then we'd go through 3 or 4 different design alternatives and say, okay, what if we put the bridge here? What if we put this type of bridge here? What if we put this bridge here? And then run all these models, pretend that it makes any sense looking into the future, because most likely cars will be flying 50 years from now. But essentially trying to help governments decide what to do with their infrastructure. That's one of the coolest projects I've ever worked on for my career, and it was really cool. That's why I kind of miss engineering. Go ahead.
I bet the bridge people who from 70 years ago thought the same thing, Jake.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be on Mars. Why are we building this bridge? But here we are. Roberto! Yeah, no problem. Man, is it Roberto Torres? Have we been calling you Robert this whole time by accident? I almost want to... Or is your email Robert Torres and we've been confused? I want to like check this.
What if he has like split personalities?
No, I think we've been just making a mistake. Instead of Roberto, we were calling him Robert. No, it is Robert. Your thing comes up as Robert Torres, and then in the email it says Roberto, and then some numbers at gmail.com. Okay, man, you made me freak out. I'm like, damn, am I calling you the wrong thing over email? I'm so sorry if that's the case. But Manny's still here. This is very awesome. I think, hey, Sally. So, Sally, you and I were talking about you being on the live stream, right? Or am I thinking? Oh no, I'm thinking of Sam. Sorry. There's a woman in engineering named Sam. I can't remember her whole Discord handle, but we're talking with her about being on the stream. But yeah, Sally, very awesome. We need to, Ashton, we need to come up with like a, you know how we say 1% Nation for like the community? I almost want some sort of community branding for Discord. Like, should we be saying 1% Discord or something like some sort of salute, like 1% Discord here, so we know like the momentum that the tribe from Discord brings. So if you have any ideas or suggestions around that, I'd love to hear them in the future.
1% Discord.
1% Discord. 1% Discord here. Thanks, Sally B. Really appreciate that.
Leave it to me. I'll say Astro World.
Astro World. All right. Dre Page says, besides from a phone and a computer, what's the most important tool you use in your career every day in your life?
My brain.
I got to think about that one because I want to come up with something clever. Most important thing I use. I don't know how to answer that on the spot on stream without giving you a poor answer. B Small says, any recommendations for a mid-40s professional with a background in business and procurement who missed his calling in civil engineering? I currently work for a major utility company. I mean, you kind of have to decide. Like, I know people who are 40 who went back to school and candle lit and did that sort of thing. So it depends. Like, do you have a lifestyle and financial scenario and enough willpower to push through it and want it? Otherwise, what you can do is you can get a sort of technician to your degree. You can go that route, but you're never going to be able to be a full engineer. I think you got to ask yourself deep down, is it a hope and a dream, or do you really want it? And can you invest the time, resources, and energy in order to actually get it? Because people do. Everybody thinks it's impossible, but that's just not true. Manny, don't worry. Yeah, I sent you an email today, so I'm excited about that. I extended an opportunity for Manny, Hamza, this is for you, for Manny to support. I have a whole bunch of research tasks and like production assistant tasks of like looking back through old interviews and picking out sections that can be repurposed. And there's a whole bunch of research tasks. And I thought, why pester Discord additionally? Because they get hit up enough about this and that. And the 8 guys who, not guys, but the 8 people who emailed about being a part of the virtual internship, like maybe they're ambitious enough to take one of these roles. So I think I extended the opportunity to Manny. Did you get an email about that? I think you may have. Yeah, I think you did. Jeremy Galloway says, how difficult do you think it would be to get a job with DARPA? So DARPA, I actually really know what that is. DARPA is the company that works for, it's like the defense and something research, but it's basically the companies like the DARPA Urban Challenge and the DARPA Grand Challenge is the driverless vehicle, and they basically work on applications that the military will be interested in, so like robotics and computer vision and all these really cool things. So how difficult do you think it will be to get a job with DARPA, and do you know if they're structured like Lockheed or Textron in the sense that you're hired for short-term projects versus long-term? So what DARPA does, DARPA is like NASA, okay? So it's a government organization that hires consultants like Lockheed and SpaceX and these other things. So yes, you may get hired for a 6-month or 12-month project and then you move right on. So I don't think it's hard to get a job at DARPA. I don't think you want to get a job at DARPA. I think just like you've already identified, you want to get a job at one of the companies that gets DARPA contracts. That's the way to go. So we can talk more about that because I have a feeling that with you emailing us about 1% internships that you want to be a part of this whole community. Roberto, he says Robert is my nickname, so we should call you Roberto. If Roberto is your name, like what do your best friends call you? What does your family call you? It's Roberto. Okay, Harvesta Marby says first time here studying civil engineering from Kenya. Very cool. I'm a civil engineer and I've been to Kenya. I love it. I was with the Maasai for like 2 weeks and did a filmmaking project with them. Really love it. Define random. Can you explain architecture, engineering, and the schooling and what field that is? I don't know if the answer, by the way, I emailed you. Great. So define random. We're about to do a project with Penn State, who is the longest and largest architectural engineering program in the country. And one of the first videos that we had pop was architecture versus engineering. So yeah, we'll talk about that. I think you should hang out and chime into the beginning of next stream for this because I think it's too deep to dive into right now. But send us an email. We can talk more about that for sure. A couple more just final things here. Jeremy says, does anyone know if they will rebuild some I can't pronounce that. Arcibio? I don't really know what that is in the top of my head. I feel like I'm missing something. It's completely demolished. Let's remove it. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I need more context. Sorry. B Small says thanks. Really want what? The opportunity. Currently weighing the practical aspects. Must have pretty. Oh, I think this is the person who's saying they're in their 40s. Really good. Okay, send me an email. So send me an email. We can talk more about advice. We're actually about to do a video about this because I have multiple friends who I reached out to lately about. Hey, you went back to school at 38. Do you want to be on the show and talk about your experience? So, because I do get a decent bit of questions about this sort of thing. So, be small. Don't worry. Send me an email. Jump into the Discord. Follow the links below, and we will set you up. So, before we roll, guys, 1% Nation, make sure you hit that like button so that everybody sees this rebroadcast tomorrow. And if you're of the 32 engineers here, you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell, okay? We go live every Thursday. Sometimes it's 8. Most of the time it's 8. Sometimes it's 7, but if you don't hit that notification bell, then you're going to miss new videos because we post them randomly, and you're going to miss live streams. So make sure you do that. And thanks to I see that just jumped up to 47. And you guys really need to join the Discord server. Here you have Astro Rowe. He's the director of our Discord community. You have over 900 engineers where we talk about studying, career advice, internships, how to make it through this homework or that exam, whatever it is. But we're going to continue to build this Discord server with all of 1% Nation, so make sure you join that. And finally, if you want a virtual internship, can't get an internship during COVID-19, well, then you need a remote internship, which we are building for electrical, civil, mechanical, and then finally software engineering. We're only going to take 50 people, so make sure you email us tonight to secure your potential spot for that. Within the chat, I'm going to do a couple more things here and then have you guys, or say bye to all of you guys. Ahmed says, senior in civil engineering. I'm interested in technical program and product management. How do you think the transition will be career-wise? Yeah, we're going to take that question next week, so make sure you show up to next week's live stream. Let's see. Caesar says, do you recommend industrial engineering? It depends on what type of engineer you are. If you're an engineer who likes more of a systematic view and you are not as good at theoretical math and you have decent communication skills and want to work with people as well, then maybe industrial engineering is for you. Check out Kyle Gillis on YouTube. He has more to say about this. Radio telescope. I had a feeling that it was some sort of space application. Jeremy Galloway, thanks so much for that. Yep, love you, Jeremy. Thanks so much. Ahmed says, answer my question. No, not with that type of attitude. We'll get to your question next week. Plus, I don't know what your question is asking. Senior year in civil engineering. I'm interested in technical program and product management. How do you think the transition will be career-wise? I don't know what you're asking. You don't have a question, so sorry. Make sure you use more actual context. I don't know. Hamza Ashton, do you know what this question is? Ahmed Ali.
Nope.
Senior year in civil engineering, I'm interested in technical program and project management. How do you think the transition? I don't know. Like, what you need to do is what everybody needs to do, is get your internships and build relationships with and research and volunteer and be a grader and build momentum in the direction that you want to go. And the transition will be better. If you're trying to jump into something where you don't have any sort of momentum, then the transition is going to be awful. Okay. So your question really goes for anybody. I can't specifically talk about that question. But yeah, that's what it is. So, yep. I think we're going to end things now. No problem, Dre Page. So if you're still in the chat, there's 30 of you here. Drop your, hey, still here. Thanks so much. I want to know who's here. I want to know because I think some of you have been with us for like 2 hours. So if you're still here, type something in the chat, give you a little shout out. And otherwise, can't wait to see you guys next week, Thursday, probably 8 p.m. Caesar says, is technical engineering mostly technical work? Yep, for the most part. It is white collar, at the computer, doing design, working with software, and that sort of thing. So drop into the chat if you're still here. I want to give you guys a couple shout outs. It's really cool. We were about 30 people the whole time. We spiked up to like 40. Game Rooter, didn't see you in the chat before. Thanks for being here. Who else is here? Who else is here? Really love this. And Hamza and Ashton, while we're waiting for people, Abdulaziz, hey, awesome, just got here. Drop your question in the chat. You can be here for next Thursday. Hamza and Ashton, if you guys have any final either things to mention or shout-outs or anything to say to 1% Nation, now's your chance. Go ahead.
Bye. Have a wonderful time.
Join the Discord.
Thank you for everything. Appreciate your time and energy.
Carlos Braver hopped in a little bit late, and I'm glad I did. Stay safe, guys. Yeah, thanks so much. Go ahead and, getting one from Mohammed, an email about internship. Define random, Carlos Bravo, Jeremy Galloway. This is great. Ryan Waldron. Yep. Elson Garcia, is engineering easy? Nope, engineering is not easy. Anastasia, what's up? Thank you so much. J-Star Beats, still here. What up, what up? Hey, if you make beats and if you make music, maybe we can feature some of your stuff on the YouTube channel. So send me an email, hello@jakevoorhees.com, and we can talk about that. Brendrika, thank you so much. Hello, sir. Quincy Perry, thank you so much. Can't wait for the VOD on the stuff you missed. No problem. Caesar, thanks so much. Quincy, thanks so much. See you guys later. Tune in next week. This is the 1% Engineer Show, where we empower young engineers to rise to the top 1% of their career. So if this is you and you want to be the top of your field, then make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe. We'll be back next week, next Thursday, probably 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Join the Discord. Get the 1% Engineer Kit. Go ahead and like us on Instagram, and we'll see you again in another video. Bye, 1% Nation. Love you. See you so much. Peace out. See you, Hamza.
Bye.